Good morning, 5 o'clock now. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. We are sitting at 60 degrees and overcast skies right now. You may see a sprinkle heading in this morning. We'll catch up with the forecast and with traffic in just a moment. Tensions are on the rise this morning between India and Pakistan.
Major escalation between two nuclear-armed nations. India firing missiles into Pakistani territory, killing at least 19 people. Pakistan says children at a mosque are among the dead. India says it struck militant targets linked to last month's deadly attack on tourists in the Indian-controlled portion of Kashmir. This morning, shelling from Pakistani troops killed at least 3 civilians on the Indian side of the region.
That's ABC's Christiane Cordero. Here in Tennessee, ICE has released more information about this weekend's detainments. One person was a member of the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua. Another person was a child sex predator. 84 undocumented people have been detained since Saturday night's operation. More reaction now to the ICE detainments in Nashville over the weekend.
Fox 17 says the Tennessee House Republican caucus released a statement and a rebuttal to Democratic sentiment on the issue. They say there is zero tolerance for those who, quote, prove to be a threat to public safety, and supports the arrest of anyone who violates state law, and claim Tennessee Democrats are currently prioritizing the well-being of criminals who are here illegally over their law-abiding constituents. The statement goes on to accuse Democrats of holding a pro-criminal, pro-illegal immigration, defund the police agenda, saying that, quote, they have truly lost their way. Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Other news of the day, a former lieutenant with Metro Nashville Police Department is charged with the alleged leak of the Covenant School shooter's writings. Garrett Davidson was arrested by TBI agents in Portland and Robertson County and booked into the Davidson County Jail on a $150,000 bond. TBI saying Davidson used his position to go into restricted areas and take multiple investigation files without authorization, including the Covenant shooter's writings that ended up being published in the Tennessee Star. Market Numbers Report brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. A losing day on Wall Street yesterday at the start of the Fed's two-day meeting, which wraps up today with its interest rate decision this afternoon. Futures this morning are on the rise, though, after the news broke that Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and top trade official Jamieson Greer are meeting with their Chinese counterparts this week in Switzerland. Traders are also following consumer credit data that's due out today and earnings reports today from Disney, Carvana, and from Uber. So Dow futures right now are plus 244. NASDAQ futures up 124, and the S&P futures are up 34. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Wow, got a couple of accidents to start us off this morning in Nashboro Woods, Bell Road, north of Mossdale Drive. Got a crash involving some injuries. Germantown, a crash on Rosa Parks Boulevard at Garfield Street. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
This is Nashville's Morning News with Dan Mandis.
And so, my fellow Americans,
We talk news.
5:06, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to your friends. How are you? Wednesday, hump day. I'll go ahead and say it. It is May 7th of 2025. Man, lots of news this morning. Of course, the big news, several news stories that we're following. Of course, two nuclear powers doing battle, Pakistan and India. We'll have all the latest for you at the top and the bottom of the hour, trying to get Stephen Bucci on the phone to talk about this as well and its impact on America. Details straight ahead on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Donald Trump made a big announcement on the Houthi rebels. We'll talk about that. That was a big thing yesterday, as well as President Trump welcomed the Canadian Prime Minister, Mark Carney. I don't know about you, but I actually really enjoyed the back and forth between President Trump and Prime Minister Mark Carney for no other reason that you can really see that the president is putting on a charm offensive, but at the same time, also putting him in his place.
Thank you very much, everybody. It's a great honor to have Prime Minister Mark Carney with us. As you know, just a few days ago, he won a very big election in Canada.
Yep.
And I think I was probably the greatest thing that happened to him, but I can't take vote credit.
You know, there was a lot of things that they were talking about. There was a lot of things that were unsaid. There was a couple of elephants in the room. And so one of the things, remember, as you folks know, Donald Trump kept saying and has been saying that Canada should be the 51st state. He kept going after Justin Trudeau, former Prime Minister of Canada, calling him Governor Trudeau. And even on the day of the election in Canada, Trump sent out a Truth Social on Election Day telling Canadians to vote for someone who could help make Canada the 51st state of America. And so what all of that did is, some say anyway, is that it inspired Canadians to vote for the Liberals yet again. Now, here's part of that discussion. Part of that discussion is that with President Trump, they portrayed him in the Canadian press, and the Liberals portrayed him as a bully and trying to really hostilely and militarily, some said, take over Canada. And of course, we have the tariff war as well. And so if you listen to some people, they will say that the reason why Mark Carney, the Liberal, won was because there was pushback against Donald Trump. So all of that, again, leads to this big backlash against the West and the conservative candidate there. And we now still have a Liberal in charge of Canada, again, Mark Carney. And if that's the way Canadians want it, well, then bless their hearts. And I do mean that in the snarky Southern kind of way. But of course, tariffs and trade have been a big part of the conversation then and now. Yesterday, Trump was asked about what major concession did he want out of Canada? This is what the president said.
Concession?
Yes.
Friendship. We're going to be friends with Canada. Regardless of anything, we're going to be friends with Canada.
It really was a charm offensive. I don't know if you saw it, but you had Mark Carney definitely on his best behavior. Donald Trump was on his best behavior as well. Then, of course, the question of Canada, it took like 3 questions before somebody finally brought up Canada being the 51st state. It does come up. It was inevitable.
No. Well, I still believe that, but you know, takes 2 to tango, right? But no, I do. I mean, I believe it would be a massive tax cut for the Canadian citizens. You get free military, you get tremendous medical cares and other things. there would be a lot of advantages, but it would be a massive tax cut. And it's also a beautiful, as a real estate developer, I'm a real estate developer at heart. Mm-hmm. When you get rid of that artificially drawn line, somebody drew that line many years ago with like a ruler, just a straight line right across the top of the country. When you look at that beautiful formation when it's together, I'm a very artistic person, but when I looked at that beauty, I said that's the way it was meant to be. But I do feel it's much better for Canada, but we're not going to be discussing that unless somebody wants to discuss it.
So again, President Trump, it was sort of like he was tiptoeing around things a little bit. Again, he was on a charm offensive, and to be honest with you, I love it. He wants friendship with Canada. He wants to start over with Mark Carney because, let's be honest, his relationship with Pierre Trudeau wasn't exactly a good relationship. But this is what made news. The Prime Minister responded to President Trump, basically saying he does want Canada to be the 51st state.
As you know from real estate, there are some places that are never for sale.
That's true.
We're sitting in one right now, Buckingham Palace that you visited as well.
That's true.
And having met with the owners of Canada over the course of the campaign last several months, it's not for sale, won't be for sale ever. But the opportunity is in the partnership and what we can build together. And we have done that in the past. And part of that, as the president just said, is with respect to our own security. Right. And my government is committed for a step change in our investment in Canadian security and our partnership. And I'll say this as well, that the president has revitalized international security, revitalize NATO, and us playing our full weight in NATO, and that will be part of it.
So that was a long and nice speech by Mark Carney, but you heard him say that Canada will never be for sale, and then Trump says...
But never say never. Never say never.
People go nuts when the president says never say never.
Didn't Mark Carney at that point also mouth the word never?
Yep, he did, as a matter of fact. And then, of course, there was indeed a follow-up question.
But I say never. I've had many, many things that were not doable, and they ended up being doable, and only doable in a very friendly way. But if it's to everybody's benefit, Canada loves us, and we love Canada. That's, I think, the number one thing that's important. But we'll see. I mean, over time, we'll see what happens.
So Trump just would not let it go. He would not let it go. I thought it was kind of funny. Did you hear what William Shatner? He went off on a Jesse Waters show last night.
Oh, I didn't watch it, yeah.
And this is what he said about Canada becoming the 51st state.
I'm going to say to Carney, do a real estate deal. Make a counter offer. Let's offer to the United States to be the 11th province. Think of the joy, and it's the best thing. Here you have a friendly group of people saying, come on over. It's cleaner. There's plenty of power. There's some lovely people who want to work with you. Be our 11th province.
So there you go. That is William Shatner for you. But I don't know if you watched, Joan, the presser yesterday. By the way, another story we're going to tell you about today. Big Supreme Court win for President Trump, enforcing the ban on transgender service members in the military. So that is a big victory for the president. We'll get into that in some detail here in a little bit. But did you notice that President Trump was definitely on a charm offensive yesterday?
Oh, yes.
They were
almost, it was almost like the two of them had a shtick going,
Yes.
Like it was almost a comedy routine. Mm-hmm. They seemed much more familiar with each other than anybody, I think, believed they really are. Mm-hmm. President Trump, I think, respects Mark Carney.
He said that. I think he actually said that.
Okay.
And I think that perhaps
he respects other
does.
Business guys, that means something to him.
Well, also, when you compare any visit to the visit of Vladimir Zelensky, it looks like a good visit, right?
Yes. Hey, Mark Carney wore a suit.
He did.
Yeah.
He did wear a suit. So, but what I liked about what happened yesterday was something else that Carney said. I've got that for you straight ahead. It is 5:15 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. Time to check the roads.
We've got a couple of accidents on Bell Road in Nashboro Woods. Right at Mossdale Drive, there's a crash. That one has some injuries involved. Germantown, Rosa Parks Boulevard at Garfield Street, there's a crash. And another one this morning in Whites Creek. This is on the eastbound side of 24 at Old Hickory Boulevard North. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. As far as your weather, a high today of 70 and some rain as well. Appreciate you listening. Now, one of the things that I noticed about Mark Carney was that he was very conciliatory to President Trump. And he gave the president a lot of props, and Trump gave Carney a lot of props as well. And Canada has indeed stepped up their own investment in the military. That was at the behest of Donald Trump. I think Trump kind of forced their hand. He did, again, compliment Donald Trump on forcing NATO to become stronger by forcing them to the other NATO countries to invest more in NATO. They also spoke about trade deals. They said that nothing would be finalized with this visit. But right now, most Canadian goods, as you folks probably know, are being tariffed at 25% if they are not compliant with the United States-Mexico-Canada trade agreement. There's also that 25% tariff on steel, aluminum, cars, and auto parts, and Canada continues to tariff our whiskey, sporting goods, and appliances. So all of that does continue, but at least it is a step in the right direction. The president also, by the way, was asked about any meetings with China on tariffs during this press conference with Mark Carney. He said that he had not yet spoken to Xi Jinping and China yet, but the tariff war the president talked about was bringing results.
Tremendous. The car companies are moving in at levels we've never seen before. The biggest investment ever made in the United States is being made right now. Trillions of dollars. I would say we could be at $9 trillion. You could go back to other presidents. They haven't had $1 trillion for their entire term. Look at Biden. He had bad numbers. People were leaving. They weren't coming in. They were leaving with Biden, and he didn't know the difference. The only thing he knew is people coming in. You know who they were? Illegal immigrants, okay, from prisons, from mental institutions.
All right, so President Trump, obviously he was speaking about the investments in America. Trump said that the total investments in America, he said $9 trillion. That is, of course, sending the fact checkers, apoplectic, because they're, no, it's not $9 billion, whatever. Here's what I know. What I know is that we've got Hyundai and Toyota and Novartis and Apple and SoftBank and IBM and Merck and GE Aerospace, Eli Lilly. It goes on and on. So whether it's $9 trillion, $8 trillion, $4 trillion, you know what it is? It's a lot more than we had before. And I think we'll let the bean counters and the bookkeepers figure out how much has actually been invested in America. But the bottom line is that President Trump, 100 days in, now over 100 days in, he's got a lot to brag about. By the way, Scott Bessent, of course, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, speaking of China, he was on Fox News, and he says that, China is back in the game, and they are getting together. They have met, and they're talking.
The world has been coming to the U.S., and China has been the missing piece. I was going to be in Switzerland to negotiate with the Swiss. Turns out the Chinese team is traveling through Europe, and they will be in Switzerland also. So we will meet on Saturday and Sunday.
There you go.
And, look, we have shared interest that this isn't sustainable, as I said before, especially on the Chinese side. And, 145%, 125% is the equivalent of an embargo. We don't want to decouple. What we want is fair trade.
But who made the first call? Like in a dating world, who makes the first call here today?
Oh, who cares?
There are lots of calls, Laura, is that there isn't a first call. There are a lot of contact points over time.
That's Laura Ingraham, and I'm not going to bash on Laura Ingraham, but can I just ask a question, Joan?
What is that?
Who cares who called who first?
It really is one of those.
Does that matter?
It does not. And the media has been so hyper-focused on that issue. Who cares?
Get the damn deal done.
Right.
I mean, that's and you know what? Is there any shame in being the first to call? I guess that would be my question. Is there any shame to being the first nation that made that phone call? And
well, the media has been focused on it because President Trump's been saying, China's coming to us. And China's been saying, nope, he came to us first. It's just the media, again, taking a dig at President Trump. That's all. That's all it's about.
they need to get over it.
They really do.
And they mentioned like in the dating world, and maybe I dated the wrong way. I was always the first one to call. And I was always the one waiting for another call. Right. Then Amy...
It'll be with you for life.
Amy finally returned my call.
Right.
Took me like
Thank goodness somebody did.
She was the only one that, would return my call, so I married her. Moving right along. 521, Joan Jones took a weird turn.
Yeah, sure did.
What's coming up at 5:30?
Well, we have a story about dangerous people who ICE says they captured in those traffic stops, and why your upcoming flights may be delayed. Those stories and more coming up here at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
526, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk, 89.7 WTN. Good morning to you. And there is a lot going on. By the way, watch us on YouTube, X, 997WTN.com, and at Facebook, of course, as well. You know who was on Benny Johnson's web show the other day? It was James Comer. Haven't heard from James Comer in quite a while. But, you know, they were talking about the Epstein files. I want to play this audio real quick because basically what Comer said, I think he's still House Oversight, right? House Oversight, James Comer. I could be wrong, but I think he's House Oversight. But anyway, so he told Benny Johnson that he doesn't think those Epstein files exist. That's what he said. Listen to this.
And they always use the excuse, well, there's an ongoing investigation. Yeah. And they're still using that now. But it's been a long time, and they've had plenty of time. And people keep disappearing that were key witnesses in this case. So the time to release that information is now. The president has ordered it. The attorney general has ordered it. Either they're disobeying the president and the attorney general, or the evidence is no longer in existence. There's no in between. There's either or.
So I don't think you heard James Comer there, Joan, and I'm kind of with him. I don't think whatever this is, the Epstein files that are supposedly missing, I just don't think they exist anymore.
Yeah, I don't think
we talked about this a long time ago, didn't we?
We've been talking about it for years, just years.
Yeah, I'm so tired of the conversation. I don't believe they exist. I just don't. That doesn't mean they didn't at one time exist.
Yes.
But why would they keep these files around if they would incriminate, you know, politicians in America, foreign governments, and so forth? They wouldn't keep them around. They would have been bagged a long time ago. So to me, at this point, I'm sort of over it. However, the Daily Dan poll, the question is, KGB, help me. Remind me what the question is, the Daily Dan poll. It has something to do with the Epstein files.
Do you think the Epstein file, do you think we'll ever see the Epstein files? Yes or no?
So, and I know we've had several poll questions about the Epstein files. What are people saying thus far?
89% say no.
All right, there you go.
I think you can put that in the same line of they don't exist. You can put that in the same category.
All right, very good. By the way, Joan, we have a big day here on Nashville's Morning News.
Oh, we do?
We do. We're giving away concert. We're giving away concert tickets.
Okay, so is it the Amy Grant concert or is it the Metalhead Bangin' concert?
No, the Metalhead Bangin' concert is over. So now this is Amy Grant.
Oh, good.
At the Ryman Auditorium.
I was only guessing. That was good.
Mother's Day at the Mother Church. Amy Grant which, by the way, I'm a fan of Amy Grant.
Yeah, me too.
You can get tickets. She's going to be with Lori McKenna. The tickets are on sale May 9th and 10th. And it's, I guess, this weekend. Yeah. But anyway, so here's my affection for the 5 o'clock hour and the 5 o'clockers. What did Brian call them? The early worms or something. But I have such affection for the 5 o'clockers that I'm going to give these tickets away right now in the 5 o'clock hour. Caller number 5 right now, 615-737. That's what I love the 5 o'clockers.
Yeah.
They get up early with us, Joan.
But can I just say the 5 o'clock early worms are the ones that get eaten, Dan?
Oh, are they?
Yeah, by the early birds.
Well, he might have meant early birds.
Whatever. I don't care. 615-737-99. I also shanked the date of Mother's Day apparently on a commercial somewhere. So, Mother's Day is the 12th, not the 11th, just so everybody's clear. 615-737-9986, 615-737-WWTN. If you want to go to Amy Grant, call right now. Thank you, 5 o'clockers, for getting up so early and listening to Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning, 5:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. The number is 84. That is the number of people who have been detained by ICE agents after traffic stops here in Nashville. And we're learning that at least one member of Tren de Aragua and a child sex predator were among them. Meantime, Metro Council's Public Health and Safety Committee is holding a special meeting this afternoon on these arrests. Alexandria Adams at Channel 4.
They're asking the community to show up to demand the names of the people who were detained and where they are now being held. That meeting starts at 4 p.m. at One Public Square.
Afterwards, a candlelight vigil at Glencliff High School. And in other news, heads up if you have an upcoming flight. Nearly 900 flights have been canceled at Newark Liberty Airport in New Jersey since last week. The outage there that left air traffic controllers and airplanes in the sky without any communication between the two for 90 seconds. Air traffic controllers who were on duty that day have now taken time away from their jobs. And now Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says his agency will fast-track repairs.
We've slowed down the traffic, right? So safety is our mission, right? Efficiency is not, we love efficiency, but safety is critical for us. And so if we feel like there's issues in the airspace, we'll slow it down.
Yeah, he says Newark is getting new radar, fiber, radios, and sensors, but that's going to take time to build out. The traffic slowdown that he was talking about there, that could affect air traffic around the country. The conclave to select a new pope is getting underway today.
Inside the Sistine Chapel, tables are set with place cards for each cardinal and ballots at each seat. The cardinals will be cut off from the world, voting up to 4 times per day, twice in the morning, twice in the evening. The conclave is highly secretive, but we do know the cardinals walk down the center aisle to the chapel altar, where they cast their ballots in front of Michelangelo's Last Judgment.
ABC's Ines Della Cutera at the Vatican. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Well, there are a couple of crashes in Nashville Woods, an injury crash at Bell Road north of Mossdale Drive. And then in Pegram this morning, there is police activity on I-40, the eastbound side past McCrory Lane. They're telling us that it's the right lane that is partially blocked there. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.538, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 89.7 WTN. You can quit calling. We have the Amy Grant concert ticket winner, Joan.
Nice.
Didn't take that long at all.
Congrats, Joan. You won.
Joan didn't win.
She was the fifth caller.
Who won?
Christopher Rhymes.
Christopher Rhymes. Congratulations, Christopher Rhymes.
Nice.
You have to send us a picture of you at the concert, courtesy of WTN. All right, now. Great moment on MSNBC, Joan, where they've got a guy by the name of Danny Savalas. I think that's his name. But, MSNBC, oh, my gosh, the due process of, all these illegal aliens that we're deporting.
How long can you watch MSNBC before you can't take it anymore?
Do you know what's so funny about that, KGB? It's funny you should ask, KGB. I actually never watch MSNBC. I get all the clips online.
Fair enough.
So, I don't know. Does anybody watch MSNBC?
I mean, I know.
I don't even. Do you know that when I was ill, I actually tuned into The View just because I'd never seen it.
Were you hallucinating?
Live. No, I'd never seen it live, and so I decided, okay, you know what? I'm going to torture myself, and I'm going to actually watch The View.
Was it all that?
Do you know what? It wasn't all bad. Like they had some, I don't know, Hollywood stuff or whatever, but then they started going into politics, and I couldn't. Amy was like calling down from the upstairs. Why are you watching that?
They always have it like after a show that people like. You know what I mean? Like a good show. All of a sudden you see The View. It's like the same with like football during like Monday Night Football.
Right.
Everyone's enjoying. And then Jimmy Kimmel's on afterwards. And you're like, oh, turn off the TV. Just turn it off.
Yeah. Well, I mean, The View is, people watch it. And people always say, why do you play audio from The View? And I say 1,000 times, although I haven't played it lately, because I just think at this point, we know that they're just going to be full of nonsense.
They're all psychos.
But I would say that for, the View, whatever. MSNBC is the same way, where I couldn't even find MSNBC on my TV if I had to. So anyway, but the clips. So there's a guy named Danny Savalas, and he is on with Morning Joe. So you've got Joe Scarborough and Mika, and they're talking about due process and the illegal aliens, and are they legally afforded due process? And so their legal analyst, who must be new and didn't get the memo that it's supposed to be all anti-Trump all the time, actually is like, they don't get due process.
So federal law allows for even broader and speedy removal than has been used in the past. And expedited removal, as you talked about, allows for summary removal. That means no entitlement even to a hearing, possibly within 24 hours. It hasn't been used as broadly as, say, the Trump administration might want to use it, but under the statute, it is permissible to remove aliens who arrive at the border, and even those who have been here for 2 years, although that 2-year provision you talked about is the lesser used in practice. But just because it isn't used very often doesn't mean it's not a part of federal law that can be used.
Now at this point,
Are they like sinking in their seats?
Mika's head is about to explode, and Joe Scarborough's face is getting all red, and he's shifting in his chair. He's not happy.
And it will be used because it's permitted under federal law. The Congress, in its infinite wisdom, decided that aliens who arrive at the border, and they define people who arrive at the border as people who have even been here 2 years, if they have fraudulent documents, if they don't have sufficient documents, they can be removed in an expedited fashion unless they seek asylum.
So there you go. So Donald Trump was right. And whoever that producer is that booked this guy, no doubt is looking for a job right now.
Exactly.
Wait a minute. They spoke the truth on MSNBC?
I know.
Did they freak out after that?
It was a rare moment.
Did Joy
And they
Reid
started
screech
arguing,
from
no
her
doubt.
home?
What's that?
Did Joy Reid screech from her home?
Well, this was MSNBC. This was not The View. And I think that
Joy Reid, not Joy Behar.
I
know Joy Reid is fired.
Joy Reid is fired.
I know, but like still, she would screech that.
Oh,
they're
she probably
racist.
would.
Yeah.
You know what? She's been awfully quiet, as a matter of fact. Joy Reid has.
Well, I think the last thing she said was like Canada would beat U.S. in a war, which is hysterical. Probably the funniest thing she's ever said.
Did Joy Reid say that?
She literally said Canada would beat U.S.
America in a war.
Yeah. You don't remember that?
No.
I got to find this audio. Hold on.
She releases videos, I think, every day.
Oh, does she really?
Yeah.
No one cares now.
I was going to say, if you release a video
and nobody knows about it,
but nobody knows about it,
Did it make a sound?
Yeah, that's exactly right. By the way, did you hear the big news today, Joan?
Which big news is that, Dan?
Donald Trump, according to the New York Times, is going to start sending illegal alien gangbangers to
Libya.
Libya. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Headline: Trump administration plans to send migrants to Libya on a military flight. Human rights groups have called conditions in the country's network of migrant detention camps horrific and deplorable.
Didn't he also threaten to send them to Rwanda? Oh, the ones if they don't accept the $1,000.
He's going to send it to Rwanda?
To Rwanda. Yeah, I think that was the...
Really? Hmm.
I'm going to look that up.
Yeah, I have not heard Rwanda. I know that people are freaking out about Libya. The Trump administration is planning to transport a group of immigrants to Libya on a U.S. military plane. Could happen today, folks, according to U.S. officials. They call this another sharp escalation in a deportation program that has sparked widespread legal challenges and intense political debate. The nationalities of the migrants are not immediately clear, but a flight to Libya carrying the deportees could leave as soon as Wednesday. Now, nobody in the administration is actually talking because you know what they want to do is they want to get these flights off the ground and out of the airspace of that flight could be on its way now.
Before Judge Boasberg gets his hands on it.
That's exactly right.
And so here's the that article. It's in The Guardian. It says talks between Rwanda and the U.S. to host deported migrants are the latest move by that African country to position itself as a useful option for the anti-migration policies of allied governments. So, yes.
That is really Rwanda.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's in it for them? Money?
Oh,
I'm assuming
sure.
that they're going to get, because, you know, we're paying El Salvador a bunch of money. And I mean, Libya can use the money, certainly. Their country is a train wreck. Not sure about Rwanda, but I'm assuming it is. And so they probably, number one, they want to cozy up to the United States because everybody wants to cozy up to the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And number two, I think we're paying cash to hold these folks, aren't we?
We must be. I'm sure we are.
Yeah.
And the other issue is that we've run out of countries that will accept our deportees.
Which is why we need to build prisons here in America and detention centers that are not named Alcatraz. Don't get me started on that.
Yeah.
The State Department warns against traveling to Libya. So we are going to send our illegal alien gangbangers to a nation where we warn against travel to. They say Libya, due to crime, terrorism, unexploded landmines. Go take a walk. Go ahead.
Wow.
Civil unrest, kidnapping, and armed conflict. The country remains divided after years of course, civil war following the 2011 overthrow of its longtime dictator, Muammar Gaddafi. So there you go. So I don't know. We'll have to see if that actually does indeed happen. So I also find it interesting that the folks on the left here in Nashville, they are still, Joan, even after we find out, and I've got a big thing on this in the 6, even after we find out that they are, one was Tren de Aragua. Why you had this in your news?
Mm-hmm.
We had one that was Tren de Aragua. We had one that was a drug dealer? I know that there was one that had some
child sexual predator.
Mm-hmm. And there was another one I thought that was a drug dealer of some sort.
There are several people with drug connections,
Okay.
with drug possession in their car when they were pulled over. Yep.
Okay.
All of those lovely people.
So you know what the great thing is? So now we have our own local versions of Maryland Man.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so now the more that we find out about who we have deported, you still have all of these folks that, are out there screaming about, these poor innocent illegals.
Without due process or any sort of legitimate reason and snatch people up from their families off the streets, then there's no reason why they wouldn't decide to snatch people who, just didn't see things the way that they did off the streets.
It's designed to put fear in people's lives and to let people know that the big hand of government can come down and snatch your life away from you in a heartbeat.
These are our neighbors. These are our small business owners. These are our laborers. These are people who help to make Nashville what it is.
So I want to make sure we got that straight. So they are our small business owners. They are our laborers. That was, by the way, that Jeff prepped it. And
you like that, huh?
Always makes you giggle.
I do. It makes me giggle. Moving right along. But they're not laborers or small business owners. They are actually members of Tren de Aragua. One individual convicted of aggravated assault, multiple aliens with drug charges, and that convicted child sex predator. So let's talk again about how these are laborers and small business owners.
And family people.
Yes. Yes.
So this is something I sent to you earlier today. Some members of the Metro Council, and I have not. There's a group within the Metro Council, the Public Safety and Health group.
Okay.
Within Metro Council has put out a call for action, which happens tonight.
Okay.
7:30 p.m. at in the parking lot of a school, is it Glendale High School?
Okay. And I love this this screen, this ad. Honor, resist, witness. Honor the disappeared. Resist fascism.
Good Lord.
And witness the strength of community.
Isn't it also funny when she was like, they're going to go after people who just don't share the same opinion? Yeah, that opinion is don't kill, don't traffic children, and don't sell drugs.
That's exactly right.
How dare they?
Don't molest children. Don't be a predator towards children.
Don't use fentanyl and sell it.
Do they really want to honor the disappeared?
They want to honor the disappeared.
By the way, they're not disappearing. They're
right.
The federal government, in cooperation with local authorities, state authorities, have taken them into custody and sent them to a detention center somewhere because they were illegal aliens who also happened to be criminals and gang members and child predators and drug dealers and aggravated assaulters. These are the people that folks on the left want to honor.
And it's, by the way, the official name of the Metro Council Committee is the Metro Council Public Health and Safety Committee that wants to honor the disappeared.
That is so ironic, don't you think?
Incredibly insane.
Oh, my goodness.
5536 says, selling drugs is a small business, Dan.
Well, you start out small.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you
drug
can get
running
bigger
is
and
considered
bigger.
a small business.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So
it's all of this is just insane.
You know what the thing is, though? Like, I'd be willing to bet that this whole thing tonight at 7:30, I would be willing to bet that you have that this was put together before we found out that they were child sex predators, gang members, aggravated assaulters, and people with drug charges. And also, let's not forget the stolen guns and the rest of that as well. So,
and the fact that they're in the country illegally.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, one of the local TV stations had this story and said it with a straight face. Just like it's done with a straight face. Like, this is a serious thing, folks. Well, it's insane to me.
Candlelight vigil for child predators.
Guys, Jasmine Crockett said specifically, they're not a crime for coming here illegally. It's not a crime.
Yeah, that is what Jasmine Crockett said.
Come on, guys. Be open-minded.
One of the visible leaders of the Democrat Party.
Do you know when Jasmine Crockett speaks, do you know what I think of? Crockett.
My brain just flatlines, honestly.
I'm just telling you that. I mean, maybe, is there a way that we could come up with a way to say Jasmine Crockett?
I don't think so. Maybe I
You
had to
just
talk
did
to
it. I mean,
I didn't, Joan. I had several seconds of silence.
What about just Crocker?
Between shh and
why not just like Crocker? Just don't even use the last word. Just Crocker.
Jasmine Crockett.
Yeah, no, just not even go.
Just Crocker. Jasmine Crocker.
Yeah.
I could do that.
Because then you can say, if someone goes, "Why are you using?" I'm saying Crockett, but I'm saying, but you keep saying like Crocker.
Crocker crap.
Yeah, that's
Crocker crap doesn't.
No, doesn't hold the same.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't have the same punch. Oh well. Anyway, so
our next meeting will be this: finding nicknames for Jasmine Crockett.
You know, I wish it wasn't so late. It's a 7:30. I would go to that candlelight vigil. It's too late for me.
Yeah, that's bedtime for all of us.
I'm in REM sleep by 7:30. Yeah. So, but this is why we need reporters. But I would love for somebody to go down there and start asking the people holding the candles, "Hey, can you tell me why you're holding a vigil and honoring the disappeared when they were child predators and Tren de Aragua gang members? Can you explain a little bit about why exactly it is that you're honoring those folks? Because it really doesn't make a whole heck of a lot of sense to me. I love, though, that they are honoring them. I do love that they're honoring them because it just makes them look rather silly, don't you think?
I just want somebody to ask that question in public of them while they're on a stage. Hey, why is it that you're honoring these people?
Yeah.
And that response will tell you everything.
They'll just lie, though.
I just love that they're doing it. Like, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nashville will still vote for these dummies.
Somebody who sent this
I love that took you a second. Like, what word can I say here? Getting me in trouble.
I was going to use a word that I swore years ago that I was never going to use again, and I'm not going to. But it is
4702 says Jasmine Crocker shiitake mushrooms.
Yeah, that works.
Do that again? Wait, do that again?
Jasmine Crocker shiitake mushrooms.
You know, that actually works because, you know what? The more shrooms you're on, the more sense she makes.
Fair enough.
All right, we got to go. We got to go. 5:55. Joan, what's coming up?
Coming up here, the trial. Let's start with the Real ID. That becomes real today at the airports in the nation. Also, there may be a mistrial declared in the corruption trial of a couple of former state officials. Those stories and more at 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, 5:59, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So Joan got her real ID.
I did.
KGB has his real ID. Your humble host does not.
Indeed.
But I'm also not planning to fly anywhere because I'm a curmudgeon. But I am going on a cruise.
I was just going to say, don't you have to fly to the destination?
No, because we're driving down to Florida.
Oh.
So
way to fight the system.
That's exactly right, KGB. I'm a rebel at heart. But
I think Chris is doing the same thing.
I do have a new poll question. Do you have, on this Real ID day, have you gotten your Real ID yet? Now, just for the record, I had an appointment and then COVID hit. So
Right. This has been 20 years in the making.
Yeah. Well, anyway. So I haven't done it yet.
Mm-hmm.
Moving right along.
Look, the only reason we have ours is because when we moved to the state of Tennessee, they require you get the Real ID identification.
Amy is like showing me her license with the Real ID, like, she's just not.
Nanner.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Amy's bragging about her Real ID. You are as well. KGB is making me feel all bad and stuff. Anyway, so a new Daily Dan poll, very simple. Watch us on YouTube. Do you have your Real ID? We'll return next on WTN.
Good morning, 6 o'clock. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Stick around for your traffic and weather right after the news. If you are headed to the airport, as we've been talking about, keep in mind that the requirement for Real ID starts today. Now, that may come as a surprise to some flyers who show up to the airport today.
I think there's going to be a lot of nervous people if they get to the line and they're like, do you have your Real ID? And they're going to be like, my what?
My what? Yeah, that man speaking to Channel 4 at BNA early this morning. If you don't have yours, you can bring along a passport instead or a federally approved form of ID. Kids under 18 do not need the Real ID. The corruption case of former Tennessee House Speaker Glenn Casada and his chief of staff, Cade Cothran, may end up in a mistrial. Yesterday, prosecutors mistakenly played part of a recorded interview between Casada and FBI agents that was supposed to have been redacted for the jurors. And with that, defense lawyers called for a mistrial. The judge replying, quote, "We just can't have an error like this." A mistrial would mean that case would start over again with a new jury. Renting an apartment in Nashville can be a nightmare.
They don't even have prices on their websites like that. That's why. Like, how do you do research when you have to go call in? The price could change next week.
Yeah, frustrated renter there in Channel 4's Brendan Tierney says Metro Council is taking up a resolution supporting an investigation into high rent prices.
The resolution sponsors say rent keeps going up, even as the housing supply is starting to meet the demand of Nashville's growth. A new analysis of Zillow data shows that the median rent price in Nashville is now over $1,800 a month. And across the county, the average home sale price has reached $428,000.
The Justice Department, Tennessee, and some other states have all sued to stop landlords from using algorithms to set prices. Market Numbers now brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com.
Stock futures rose overnight on word that Treasury Secretary Howard Lutnick will lead a delegation to Switzerland later this week for trade talks with Chinese officials. Futures point to a higher opening this morning. Share prices went into a slump on Tuesday, with the Dow Jones falling 390 points to close back below 41,000. The S&P 500 gave up 0.75%, while the Nasdaq Composite surrendered 0.9%. A 5-year pause on student loan collection efforts is over. The Trump administration's Department of Education has begun notifying 195,000 borrowers in default that they could face wage garnishment in the next 30 days. Weight Watchers appears to be having trouble keeping up with drugs like Ozempic, free fitness apps, and online advice from social media influencers. The diet and health company, founded in 1963, has filed for bankruptcy. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
And that's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. You know, it looks pretty good on the roads this morning. No big delays. 24 starting to slow down a bit, but it's not doing too badly so far. And there is one crash. It's in Pegram. It's on I-40, the eastbound side at McCrory Lane, exit 192. And that crash there is blocking off the right shoulder. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.606 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. And welcome on in to the second hour. Appreciate you listening. And it is May 7th of 2025. We have a lot going on. Stephen Bucci from the Heritage Foundation, I believe that we're going to be able to get him at 6:35 as we continue to watch the developments between Pakistan and India. Pakistan calling what India has done, which is attack sites that are related to a terrorist organization in Pakistan that carried out a terrorist attack against parts of India. And so now Pakistan is basically saying, and here's the big deal. The big deal is you've got Pakistan and you've got India, two nuclear powers. And so there is a terrorist organization inside of Pakistan that carried out some attacks in India. And so now India has carried out attacks inside Pakistan. But what India is saying is that, listen, we didn't attack any Pakistani military spots. What we've actually done, India says, is we have shown great restraint in not targeting Pakistani military. What we've actually done is we've gone after, these hives where the terrorists are hanging out. Pakistan, though, they're saying, no. You've carried out attacks inside of our country, and now this is war. And by the way, there's a lot of reasons why this could escalate very quickly. Again, both of these nations, nuclear superpowers. You also, by the way, and if you know anything about our relationship with India, it is a good one. We have massive partnerships with India, and I've talked about all of this before. In relation to China, we have hundreds of billions of dollars in trade partnerships with India. We are talking about oil, aviation, IT. We get a ton. I was actually surprised. We get the majority of our generic drugs from India. And so this could ultimately end up being really bad for America, both imports and exports. We have a very strong, huge relationship worth hundreds of billions of dollars with India. And so this is most certainly something that we are watching very closely. Okay, so Stephen Bucci, 6:35 on WTN. Hi, Joan, go.
Did you happen to see the attack that happened, the Pakistani attack on the Indian resort?
No, but it's a resort where a bunch of tourists are.
It was in the Kashmir region, which, by the way, is a disputed territory between the two countries. And this was a tourist spot where people were sitting out. The ocean is there. It's a beautiful area of the world. And there were just tourists there, having coffee, watching the waves. It was beautiful. And these terrorists came in and just killed everyone they possibly could. It's bizarre. It was the most
horrible.
And so a lot of the video that came out of that was right after the terrorists left and people were trying to help their loved ones.
Oh,
it was
I can't imagine
horrifying.
how horrific that video is.
Yes.
By the way, this terrorist organization, Lashkar-e-Taiba, Pakistan is denying the claims, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know if this group actually took responsibility for the attack. But I mean, India certainly thinks it is this organization based out of Pakistan. So, I mean, James Carafano, I should say Stephen Bucci will help us sort it all out. They say in a press briefing, India's foreign secretary said a group called the Resistance Front had taken responsibility for carrying out the massacre in Kashmir. accusing it of being an offshoot of Pakistan-based, United Nations-proscribed terrorist organization Lashkar-e-Taiba. Pakistan, of course, is denying the claims. So who knows?
It's tragic, and this is frightening.
It is frightening
escalation.
because, again, this could get bad really, really quickly. So, again, India, they are big-time allies of ours and big-time partners of ours as well. So this could, and we'll ask Stephen Bucci about this, but ultimately this could turn into a major escalation. And if it does, then our supply chain could be impacted with all of the things that we get from India in the middle of course, a tariff war that we have going on right now with China. So all of that to say, stay tuned because there's lots to talk about with Stephen Bucci at 6:35 here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Let's stay on the world stage real quickly. President Trump, who's had a lot of victories in the last day or so. Supreme Court sided with him on Trump's ban of transgender folks in the military. So that is a big win for Donald Trump. And then he had this announcement yesterday regarding the Houthi rebels.
We had some very good news last night. The Houthis have announced that they are not, or they've announced to us at least, that they don't want to fight anymore. They just don't want to fight. We will honor that. We will stop the bombings, and they have capitulated. But more importantly, we will take their word. They say they will not be blowing up ships anymore.
So remember, the Houthi rebels, they were attacking ships in the Red Sea and other waterways. This was in response to Israel defending themselves against Hamas in Gaza. And so suddenly the Houthi rebels, they're going after any ship that they believe is either owned by an Israeli company or owned by somebody who is Jewish or an ally of Israel. And so Trump, of course, as you know, decided to bomb the heck out of them because it was interfering with some very important waterways, which impacts economies around the world. And so Trump decided that, yeah, you know what? It's time to act. And he did. And now that is over, where the Houthi rebels are saying, okay, we're done.
Well, this is certainly a significant step forward because the United States has been engaged in a shooting war, right? A kinetic war against adversaries in the Middle East. And how the defense secretary has put it, this has been going on for months, this unrelenting war against the Houthis. So in a nutshell, according to the president, the United States will stop attacking the Houthis, and the Houthis will stop targeting U.S. and naval assets and merchant ships in the Red Sea, which actually was the stated objective.
Yeah, that is CBS. Now, the president made that announcement, and just to be clear, the Houthis are still blasting Israel. And there was a big bombing over the weekend, Israel responding with a massive strike of their own that disabled the airport there. So the report from CBS, remember that Trump has softened, and I thought this was interesting. Trump has softened his rhetoric on Iran. And he's actually been talking about wanting to negotiate with Iran, which I raised my hand and said, I think this is absolutely insane because, and this is one of those topics that I disagree with President Trump on. I don't believe that we should be negotiating with terrorists, especially Iran, because obviously you can't trust them. But he has softened his rhetoric on Iran. The Houthis are funded by Iran. And so I think part of what is going on is this is Donald Trump perhaps feeling like, okay, with the Houthis, mission accomplished. They are destroyed, the Houthis. The U.S. and Israel, of course, both nations have been going after the Houthi rebels, and now the Houthis have said, all right, enough.
When this new offensive began, interestingly, that was announced by President Trump, not from the DOD. So that sort of underlines how significant that military mission is. During that period, since March 15th, the United States has launched around 1,000 airstrikes against suspected Houthi targets in Yemen. And the first confirmation that we got, aside from what we heard from the White House, was not from the Houthis, but for the Foreign Ministry of Oman, which brokered the ceasefire. So this is a step forward. This is the U.S. military stepping back from a kinetic shooting war against an adversary.
All right. So, but the Houthis are still going to be bombing Israel. So the waterways apparently are protected now, but Israel and the Houthis are still going to doing battle, but we apparently now are out of it. With us, apparently it is mission accomplished. So I think that the President Trump, I think good on him. Remember, one of the things that we all found out in that Signal chat, remember that Signal chat was all part of this, and the first strikes on the Houthi rebels. And I think it was J.D. Vance who said, as the conversation was going back and forth on Signal, it was J.D. Vance who said, nobody else can do this except for us. And so this is something that apparently we have to do. And so we have done that. There is a lot more going on. We continue, Trump and his administration, we continue to have nuclear discussions with Iran. Several rounds have been going on. By the way, it is Random Wednesday, and yes, Iran still wants to assassinate President Trump. It is 6:16, time to check the roads on WTN. As far as your weather goes, a high of 70 today and some rain. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News. Stephen Bucci from the Heritage Foundation, foreign policy and military expert for the Heritage Foundation. He'll be joining us at 6:35. A major escalation between Pakistan and India, two nuclear powers, and we will dissect all of that with Stephen Bucci coming up at 6:35 here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Do you know what I think is going to be interesting, too, by the way, Joan, is did you catch a lot of people want to know what President Trump has up his sleeve as he teased what he says is a very big announcement?
I think before then we're going to have a very, very big announcement to make, like as big as it gets. And I won't tell you on what, but it's going to, and it's very positive. I'd tell you if it was negative or positive. I can't keep that out. It is really, really positive. And that announcement will be made either Thursday or Friday or Monday before we leave. But it'll be one of the most important announcements that have been made in many years about a certain subject, very important subject. So you'll all be here.
That is a major league tease.
Oh, yeah.
If I were still a program director, I'd send that to all my hosts. This is how you tease.
Yeah.
I suck at teasing. Let's see here.
But you were a great boss.
Sure. Well, I hired you, as a matter of fact, Joan Jones.
Right.
Yes, I did.
And you hired me.
That's well, 1 out of 2 ain't bad. So anyway, totally kidding.
Fair.
Totally kidding.
Harsh, but fair.
Let's see here. But here's the question that I would have. And, I'll ask Stephen Bucci, what do you think this might be? Could it be about the war between Israel and Hamas? That continues. This is from the New York Times. The Israeli cabinet voted to approve a plan to increase fighting in Gaza, and a senior Israeli defense official reportedly said Monday that Trump's trip to the Middle East brings a window of opportunity for a potential deal to secure the release of the remaining hostages taken by Hamas terrorists during the October 7th, 2023 attacks, which killed 1,200 Israelis and prompted the war. They say if there is no hostage deal, Operation Gideon Chariots will begin with great intensity and will not stop until all of its goals are achieved, Israel says. In the Oval Office, Trump did not say whether the forthcoming announcement was related to the Israeli-Hamas war, but President Trump is going to Saudi Arabia. There's a bunch of business executives going as well. So there's two things that are going on. Number one, it could be an announcement regarding Israel and Hamas, or it could be something having to do with a relationship, maybe a business relationship between America and Saudi Arabia. There's a bunch of business executives that are going with President Trump. So it could be some sort of financial partnership between the U.S. and Saudi Arabia. We've certainly seen that before with Donald Trump in his first administration. He'll also, by the way, be making stops in Qatar and the United Arab Emirates. But the president just couldn't stop talking about this.
That we have some very big announcement to make. It's not about trade. It's about something else, but it's going to be a truly earth-shattering and positive development for this country and for the people of this country. and that'll take place sometime within the next few days.
Man, what do you think it is, Joan?
I've been thinking about this. I mean, he said it's not related to trade, so it has to be something maybe on the domestic front.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many things.
Yeah,
there's so many things
he's
that it
going
could
to the
be.
Middle East, and I'm the only thing I can think of is some sort of a deal regarding Gaza.
Well,
do
you need to roll out that film again that he had made of what he would like to see Gaza turned into?
The 30-foot gold statue of Donald Trump.
Yes.
Oh, that was so funny.
I'm sure that's exactly. I mean, he's probably. Wouldn't that be funny if that's what the announcement was, that Gaza is being turned into the glorious resort that he had wanted?
I think that would be. I don't think that is it, but it would be funny if it was.
Okay, but here's a little twist. Just this week, Israel has decided that they're going to have everyone leave the Gaza Strip, move all the Palestinians to the south of the Gaza Strip, and take over that area. So maybe that's paving the way for President Trump.
Maybe it is. So they're just going to shuttle everybody off to the different part of the Gaza Strip there, and they'll just start developing it?
Could be.
You know what?
It would be, it's timely because that just happened and President Trump has this announcement, so it would be timely.
I mean, the Palestinians, though, might have something to say about that.
Well, they could, but.
Yeah. We talked about this where, can you imagine, the people always in the Middle East, and all that, they call us the Great Satan.
Yeah.
So my worry would be, we're talking about what happened in India with that terrorist group that came and killed all those people on vacation there. And my worry would be that we would see something like that in any resort town. Remember, because if you turn it into a resort, do you really think that, the enemies of Israel in America are going to stand for that being a resort town? I would be worried about a terrorist attack, wouldn't you? That would be my worry.
Yes.
I wouldn't go there. I'd go to Orlando. Take a cruise. Go to Hawaii.
A Disney cruise.
I'm not taking a Disney cruise. 6:23 on Super Talk 99.7. All right, Joan, what's coming up?
Well, we've got new details about just who was swept up in those ICE traffic stops, and we'll tell you which news anchor's husband may be in trouble with ICE as well.
Oh, there's a great story.
Oh, it is.
It is.
Got that story and more coming up here at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Dan Mandis here. Listen, friends, if you own a BMW, an Audi, Mercedes-Benz, a Porsche, any other European car, great news for you. There is a new place right here in Nashville to get your vehicle serviced, and they're called Renstall. Now, this is dealer-level service, but family-level care, honest prices as well. Not a corporate mindset, just a family business helping out our friends and neighbors by delivering honesty, respect, and exceptional service. Now, they do have the best technicians, the latest and greatest diagnostic equipment, and yes, they are dedicated to that customer service. They proudly offer the Heroes Service Discount. I love this. Veterans, active duty military, first responders, and emergency medical personnel all get a 10% discount on all repairs. These are locally owned folks and operated and exclusively work on all European vehicles. And they also offer, and I love this as well, they also offer complimentary shuttle service and free Uber rides, immediate appointments, and a quick turnaround as well. The other thing I can appreciate with Renstall is the Renstall guarantee. They'll offer clear and honest pricing and no unnecessary repairs ever. Now, they are opening soon, and they're accepting appointments for this month. And so check them out online. Their website, I love this website, itrustmymechanic.com. itrustmymechanic.com. Their phone number is 615-777-7100. 615-777-7100. Conveniently located across the street from the Academy of Country Music and 5 minutes from Music Row, 2 minutes from downtown. Check them out online. itrustmymechanic.com. Preparing to sell your home can be costly and time-consuming. You can skip the hassles of a traditional home sale and sell your home stress-free with a guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate. Dan Mandis here. Say goodbye to the stress that comes with showings and open houses and costly home repairs. My friends at Mark Spain Real Estate will sell your home fast and for maximum value. If you're thinking about selling your home, you can receive an all-cash guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate. Selling your home is one of the biggest financial decisions you will ever make, so who you work with matters. They've got over 12,500 five-star reviews. Trust the top real estate team in America to sell your home for top dollar. 855-299-SOLD for Mark Spain Real Estate. 855-299-SOLD. MarkSpain.com. That's MarkSpain.com, and start packing.
Good morning. It's now 6:30, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. We're at 61 degrees with overcast skies now. We may see some showers today. We've got the forecast right after the news. And new details about the ICE traffic stops in Nashville. ICE telling local media that there have been 84 arrests since Saturday, including a Tren de Aragua gang member from Venezuela and a convicted child molester from Mexico who had been deported multiple times. Fox 17 is reporting they spoke to some undocumented immigrants who are considering self-deporting because of these ICE operations. Well, ICE agents raided several restaurants in D.C. yesterday, including Chef Jeff's. It's a chain of restaurants owned by the husband of CBS News anchor Norah O'Donnell. ICE agents were said to be asking for employees' I-9 forms. Those are the employment verification records for foreign workers. Well, it's happened again. A U.S. Navy jet from the USS Harry S. Truman aircraft carrier is missing.
For the second time in 8 days, a $70 million U.S. fighter jet has been lost in the Red Sea. Officials say the F-18 was attempting to land on the USS Harry S. Truman at night when it fell off the deck, plunging into the water. Both pilots ejected in time. Just last week, an F-18 on the Truman went overboard while being towed. Other recent issues on the carrier include a collision with a merchant vessel back in February and the accidental shoot-down of a fighter jet back in December.
That's ABC's Rhiannon Alley reporting. And there will not be a Triple Crown winner this year. We've learned this morning that the Kentucky Derby winning horse Sovereignty is not running in the Preakness on May 17th. Sovereignty's trainer said he wants to give the horse more time between races. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. Dan Mandis here, 6:32 on Nashville's Morning News. Contours. Listen, Mother's Day is coming up this weekend, and they want to help you out by giving you some great options for the mom in your life. For example, at Contours, they're famous for their ultra slim technology. Now, that can be used in a facial. And what it does, it stimulates collagen and tightens the skin, helping those fine lines and those age spots fade. And a special just for mom as well, where you can get a belly buster treatment. Now, both of these, the belly buster treatment and the facial, both $99 each. And right now, first 10 callers get that special price of $99. By the way, that is a huge discount off the regular price. Call right now at 615-236-9960. Do it for mom, 615-236-9960. You can see, by the way, how it all works. I love their website. It explains everything about this red light technology. ContoursLLC.com. That is ContoursLLC.com. And don't forget those specials. Whether it is a facial or a belly buster treatment, either $99 each. That is a huge discount. Call right now, 615-236-9960. ContoursLLC.com. $634, Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, always looking for ways to save you money. And this month, those TVA rebates, they have been extended, which means more savings for you from Busy Bee. Mini split, 17 SEER 2 or higher. That is an $800 rebate. You can get up to 12 months, no payment, no interest, depending on your credit and the lender's offers may vary, but that means that you can save a lot of money. Busy Bee also has rebates on AC tune-ups, $50 rebate for each one. So join the Beehive Club today and get your spring tune-up and the $50 rebate, then your fall tune-up, and that is another $50 rebate. And there you have it. You've just paid for your Beehive membership for the year. Now, I've been a Beehive member for a long time with Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Call them, 615-775-7833. You can find out all about not only the rebates, but also being a Beehive member, 615-775-7833, BusyBeeHVAC.com.
Not seeing any big delays right now on 24 heading in through the Smyrna area and Laverne. A touch of the brakes as you're traveling through that area. Looking good on 24. Make that on 40 this morning heading in, but 65 looks like it is slowing down now around the Whitehall area. Make that around the Bethel Road area as you make your way into that merge into Goodlettsville. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
6:36, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We have an escalating situation, Pakistan and India, two nuclear powers, and it's kind of a tit-for-tat military confrontation. I want to welcome on Stephen Bucci from the Heritage Foundation. Stephen, always great to have you on board, and I also appreciate the last-minute nature of this phone call. So, real quick. Obviously, India is an ally of ours. We do a lot of trade with India as well. And this situation does seem to be escalating. We explained it a little bit earlier, but talk about how we got to this moment where Pakistan is now saying that what India is doing is an act of war.
Well, first people need to understand India and Pakistan have been adversaries since the two countries were given freedom by the Brits. There was supposed to be one country because of the split between Muslims and Hindus and the emerging civil war that was there. The Brits decided to split it. Predominant Muslims in Pakistan, predominant Hindus in India, but really, really large minorities of the other confession in the two countries. So they've been at each other since that time. And they have armed confrontations on a pretty regular basis. This was the second big terrorist attack. There was one in Mumbai a few years ago. That was a really big one. That didn't cause too much problem between the two countries. They worked it out. This one that happened recently, the Indians said, enough's enough. We got to stop this. They retaliated. Then the two sides started retaliating against each other. India's military is much larger, much more capable than Pakistan's, but both of them have enormous militaries. I mean, it's like World War II level size militaries if these two really go at it in a full-up war, and they both have nukes.
Yep.
So this is a really serious thing, not something that's just going to get waved off and, they'll get over it. This is a massively dangerous situation for that region for sure, but for the world because of the size of the two combatants.
This was this terrorist attack that you're talking about in, I guess, the disputed territory of Kashmir. And yeah, and they say, India says that it was carried out by a group called the Resistance Front that had taken responsibility for carrying out the massacre in Kashmir, accusing it to be an offshoot of Pakistan-based United Nations proscribed terrorist organization called Lashkar-e-Taiba. And I may have shanked that. Pakistan, by the way, is denying those claims. So, I mean, how does India prove, or do they need to prove that it was this particular terrorist organization?
They only need to prove it to themselves to take action. This is a thing people need to understand. International law really doesn't stop a country from retaliating against another country when they've been attacked. And it's based on their analysis of it, not some neutral party's analysis. We like to think that they try and apply that standard to Israel, and the Israelis tell them, yeah, that's nice. We're going to take care of our own people and defend ourselves. India is saying the same thing here. The Pakistanis, I can't guarantee the Pakistani government, facilitated this or condoned it or even encouraged it. But there's a lot of people in the Pakistani government who are at the radical end of Islam. And they really hate the Indians, particularly over what goes on in Kashmir. And so, it's like when the Saudi Arabian government didn't support Al-Qaeda when they attacked us on 9/11, but there were members of the royal family who did support them. And we had people sue the Saudi government for not doing enough to stop it. And there's still a lot of rancor between us and the Saudis, who are one of our best friends in the Middle East, over that. This is a similar thing. The Pakistani government can deny all it wants, but there's at least people probably in their intel organization, which is known for having the most radical elements in the Pakistani government, who support that. They also support the Taliban and other people. The rest of the Pakistani government would rather be Western oriented, would rather not be involved in that stuff. They see it as a losing effort for the country as a whole, but it goes on. And now the two countries, are up, as we would say, both up on their hind legs, ready to fight. And it just starts to take on, you recall the beginning of World War I. We had the killing in Sarajevo of Archduke Ferdinand. One country started threatening the other countries, and then their friends started piling on, and pretty soon we had a world war. We don't want that to happen here. So the rest of the world is probably not going to be able to stop this, but they could hopefully keep it contained as much as you can with militaries the size of what we're talking about. But this should now be jumping up to the number one priority on the Western, but definitely the American national security crisis list. We're big friends with India, as you mentioned in the intro, a lot of trade with India, but we're technically an ally of Pakistan too. When I used to be in Special Forces, I was operating in Pakistan with my 5th Special Forces guys, working with their military, and I had brothers from the 1st Special Forces group who were across the border operating with the Indian military. This is a dangerous and difficult situation to sort out.
So how does, Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, Donald Trump, so you said, Pakistan is technically our ally too. How do I ask, who is the bigger ally? How does America navigate this with two nuclear powers, one an ally, one a bigger ally, I would say, and with trade and everything else, India? How does President Trump and Marco Rubio, how do we navigate this?
Well, both the ambassadors in those countries are probably at high speed right now and have been for the last week or so, talking to their respective host governments, trying to communicate to them, this is a bad idea, please back off, offering perhaps to be an honest broker between the two. President Trump was elected because he wanted to get us out of wars. So this is not one that we should jump into on one side or the other, unless we find evidence that if, say, the Pakistani government was behind this, then that would tilt us probably towards India. But I'm guessing what you're going to find out is there may have been actors involved, but not the head of the government, not the leadership of the entire organization or the nation. So this is going to be one where we're going to have to try and get them to sit down, talk, declare a ceasefire, back off, and hopefully sort this out short of war.
Stephen Bucci from the Heritage Foundation joining us. Stephen, does it matter that India says that they were very careful not to target Pakistan's military sites? They say that they were very purposeful in going after the terrorist organizations and where they're planning and plotting these kinds of attacks?
Yeah, that's a huge thing. That shows India is trying to focus on the terrorist organization, not blaming directly the government of Pakistan. But I got to tell you, remember, nothing in the military is as precise as us military guys like to portray it as. When you start shooting at another country, things go boom, people get hurt, and many times not necessarily combatants, no matter how hard you try to avoid that sort of collateral damage. Once that starts, then the Pakistani government starts getting pressure from its domestic constituency to do something back again. And now we've jumped it out of the Indian government against the terrorists to the Indian government against the Pakistani government. And now, as they say, the genie's out of the bottle, and things really get difficult very, very fast.
We have a big trade agreement with India. We get billions of dollars in, I guess, oil, aviation, IT, but also a ton of generic drugs come from India. So if this continues to escalate, ultimately, what would the impact be on the American people, if any?
Well, to look at it selfishly, at a time when we're trying to move away from a dependence on China for all that same kind of stuff, and some of it was going to be moving to India. And we talked with the Indians, and President Trump was working his tariff tricks there to try and get as good a deal with India as possible. The Indians like that. The Indians are massive, capitalists, if you will, as far as they're developing their country. They want that. If this starts to screw that up, there's going to be more pressure on our economy because we're going to be missing things that we need that we thought we were going to use to replace what we're already going to be missing from China. So it's a monkey wrench in the cogs there, to mix my metaphors, if that starts to happen for the president's economic plans. That's not good. We don't want that. It could cause more pressure for inflation, prices to go up. That's not what we're looking for here in the U.S.
Well, one thing, Stephen, I want to get your input real quickly on this tease from Donald Trump yesterday, and that's not it.
You scared me.
I know. It scared me too. I'm sorry, Stephen. Hold on. That was our great tease bed. Listen to this.
That we have some very big announcement to make. It's not about trade. It's about something else, but it's going to be a truly earth-shattering and positive development for this country and for the people of this country. And that'll take place sometime within the next few days.
All right. So, Stephen, any thought as to what the president has up his sleeve?
That one, you got me. I don't know what he's referring to. It's so general. It could be, lots of things. It could be an energy-related thing. It's obviously, in his mind, something that's going to have an effect across the country, not just in one region or one business sector. So, energy, a change maybe to somebody in the government, but it doesn't sound like that sort of thing. That they try and do a little more low key.
He's setting the bar high.
Yeah, hugely. I don't know.
All right.
So I'm going to guess energy, but that's not based on anything other than a guess.
All right, Stephen Bucci, great analysis, and we'll talk again soon. Thank you very much for the last-minute phone call.
Sure thing, Dan. Thanks for having me.
All right. God, I suck.
You have no idea.
Not as bad as you think.
That scared
you know what the funny thing is?
hell out of me.
I'm like telling Joe, and I'm telling KGB, audio. I got audio, because I'm going to throw him this cut from Donald Trump, in that big tease thing. And I hit the wrong button. I'm so irritated.
Because it's probably labeled tease for the news tease, right?
No, I don't. To be honest, I don't know what happened.
Okay.
You just clicked the wrong button.
Well, I mean, clearly, I clicked the wrong button.
I wish there was a camera on me and Joan, because I guarantee she jumped just like I jumped. Like
hang on. I didn't realize this was coming. Yeah.
Yeah. I jumped. I'm like, wait, did I miss something?
No,
because as a producer, that's a horrifying thing when you know that tease is coming, you're not ready.
Try being a host.
Wow.
And you're like really looking forward to throwing down this audio, and I play this too. Whatever.
Well, listen, in fairness to KGB, it woke him up. So
yeah. I don't need coffee. I just need a blasting tease in my ear.
Hey, by the way, we do have Wednesdays with Wilson. Brian Wilson is going to be joining us coming up here after the news at 7. I bet you. Do you know who I bet you really enjoyed? Because I know that he's listening. Do you know who I bet you really enjoyed my monumental audio screw up? Is Brian Wilson.
Brian Wilson, yeah.
He's actually mocking me and laughing at me right now.
What he's doing is saying, hey, I've done that a million times too.
This is the guy I'm working with at 7?
No. Brian never had audio mistakes. Because he, at his home studio, he's got better equipment.
Oh, I see.
He's at Brian has all the accoutrements that we don't have. Hey, moving on, it is 6:51.
I can hear him laughing, by the way.
On Nashville's, I bet he is, on Nashville's morning news. There it is. That's what I should. There it is, right on time, right there.
Right. Now I'm expecting it.
Joan, what's coming up?
We'll tell you why a former police officer is in jail today. Also, a Texas girl is missing, but her mother is not cooperating with police. What's behind that story coming up here at 7 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WT.
Hey, Joan,
yeah.
let me ask you. So are you one of those women who say that getting a woman, your wife, perhaps, whatever, something to plug in is not a good gift? Are you one of those women?
Oh, like for Mother's Day, or
yeah, for Mother's Day. Mother's Day is coming up, and I'm going to suggest that, if you need a new washer or dryer, go to DT McCall's because they've got great specials going
Dan,
on
stop.
right now.
Right now, don't stop. No.
So if you're a guy and
Are you looking in the camera?
And you?
No.
No, I'm not. I don't.
She
have
wants
it up.
me to turn off your mic right now.
Okay, so are you saying that getting something good and plug-inable from DT McCall's would not make a good a good gift for Mother's Day?
Unless it's a lighted makeup mirror that you plug in.
So that's a big no to an appliance.
Appliances, no. I would suggest not doing that, Dan.
What if you want a nice, Speed Queen washer and dryer set for mom?
Well,
DT McCall's has right now a great special on those Speed Queens.
That would be terrific if you don't mind sleeping in the doghouse outside for the next maybe week or so.
Do you know what? You get a big WE from me, whatever. It's just not appreciative. I think if you're...
Dan,
yes.
Women will forever love a diamond. The Speed Queen you get on the off day. Like maybe if you need one, you get it next Thursday.
Okay.
So it's unrelated to Mother's Day?
Thank you for the Mom's Day advice, Joan.
Yeah,
well,
you
listen,
betcha.
On that off day, if you need an appliance, go to DT McCall's because they always have great specials on appliances, especially those Speed Queens. They've also, by the way, got lawn equipment, furniture, office furniture, and so much more. 5 locations across Middle Tennessee: Carthage, Cookeville, Lebanon, Lafayette, and Franklin. Always online. Check out the Speed Queens, dtmccalls.com. 6:57, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I feel like, Joan, we have a legit controversy here on Nashville's Morning News because there's a lot of folks that disagree with Joan Jones. And they're saying that, as a matter of fact, they would love an appliance that either plugs in or otherwise for Mother's Day. I think the point is, one woman said, what good is a diamond? Somebody actually said that. Somebody said, what good is a diamond?
The fact they disagreed with Joan is a sign of the apocalypse.
I actually agree, as the guy that would have to buy the diamond. What good is a diamond? Let me ask it this way. What good does a diamond do me? See, I can make the argument that a new washing machine or dryer or, dishwasher, that does me a lot of good too. It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Well, then how about if we save giving the washer and dryer to you for Father's Day? And you can get Mom something like a diamond.
Glittery and shiny?
Correct.
By the way, somebody said, hey, why don't you get Amy a baby for Mother's Day? That ain't going to happen. I'm here to tell you that is not.
Is that ticket window closed?
Not physically, no.
I was about to ask.
That way more information than I was
That
asking
is something I need to get done this year. You know what? I need to get a vasectomy for Father's Day. That's what I need to do.
Good Lord.
Well, you would get the vasectomy for Mother's Day.
When my
Just
brother,
saying.
It'd be for both of us.
Yeah.
When my brother, when my sister-in-law was pregnant for the second time, it was twins, and she was like, "You're getting snipped."
Yeah.
Like as soon as she heard it was twins.
By the way, Nick says buy her a treadmill.
Oh
my! Oh,
ouch.
Nope. That'll lead to nothing good.
Actually, I already have a treadmill. Thank you. I need to use it more. So one thing I brought into the marriage with me was a treadmill.
That's got to be like a mutual, we're getting this kind of gift, not a you need this kind of gift.
Mindy says, I agree with Joan.
Mm-hmm. You probably shouldn't buy her a scale either. Just
56 says, or you could listen to Joan and stay happily married.
Fair. Totally fair.
And of course, 5338, every day is Mother's Day.
Mother's Day, that's right. Every day.
I don't know if that goes in my house, but whatever. We'll go with that. It is 7 o'clock on Nashville's Morning News on WTN.
Hello there, it is 7 o'clock, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. We may be getting some showers around here today and then some storms tomorrow. Stick around. Stefano will have the forecast here right after the news. Tensions are on the rise this morning between India and Pakistan.
A major escalation between two nuclear-armed nations. India firing missiles into Pakistani territory, killing at least 19 people. Pakistan says children at a mosque are among the dead. India says it struck militant targets linked to last month's deadly attack on tourists in the Indian-controlled portion of Kashmir. This morning, shelling from Pakistani troops killed at least 3 civilians on the Indian side of the region.
That's ABC's Rhiannon Alley. We'll keep an eye on that situation this morning. Here in Tennessee, ICE has released more information about this weekend's detainments. One person was a member of the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua. Another person was convicted child sex predator from Mexico who had been deported 2 other times. 84 undocumented people in all have been detained since Saturday night's operation began. More reaction now to the ICE detainments in Nashville over the weekend.
Fox 17 says the Tennessee House Republican caucus released a statement and a rebuttal to Democratic sentiment on the issue. They say there is zero tolerance for those who, quote, prove to be a threat to public safety, and supports the arrest of anyone who violates state law, and claim Tennessee Democrats are currently prioritizing the well-being of criminals who are here illegally over their law-abiding constituents. The statement goes on to accuse Democrats of holding a pro-criminal, pro-illegal immigration, defund the police agenda, saying that, quote, they have truly lost their way. Ken Weaver, WTN News.
A former lieutenant with Metro Nashville Police is charged for the alleged leak of the Covenant School shooter's writings. Garrett Davidson is his name. He was arrested by TBI agents in Portland and Robertson County and booked into the Davidson County Jail on a $150,000 bond. TBI said that Davidson used his position to go into restricted areas and take multiple investigation files without authorization. That would include the Covenant shooter's writings, which ended up being published in the Tennessee Star. Police in Austin, Texas are appealing for help from the public to find a little girl who hasn't been seen for 6 years. ABC's Jim Ryan says the little girl's mother is not cooperating.
Virginia Gonzalez has 8 children altogether. Earlier this month, her mother called police after finding her 7-year-old granddaughter locked in a closet.
There were 6 other children found in the home that appeared physically healthy.
Austin Police Detective Russell Constable.
During the investigation, police discovered that there was an 8th child who was not found inside the home.
That child, 9-year-old Ava Marie Gonzalez, is unaccounted for. Meanwhile, her mother is charged with locking Ava's sister in a closet. Jim Ryan, ABC News, Dallas.
Market Numbers now brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Now, we've got stock futures on the rise this morning. It comes after the U.S. and China trade officials have agreed to talks in Switzerland that should happen this weekend. Dow futures are plus 261 now. NASDAQ futures up 117. We've got S&P futures gaining 33. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Well, there is a couple of problems for you this morning. We've got Pegram, a crash on I-40 westbound. I-40 eastbound. There is a crash just past McCrory Lane, exit 192. And so they're saying that the through lanes are blocked. Stop and go traffic from Cheatham, Davidson County up to that spot. And that's going to cause some big delays this morning. Tusculum, Old Hickory Boulevard westbound before Nolensville Pike. That's a crash involving injuries. And just one more. This one's on the westbound side of 40 in Glen Cliff, Spence Lane. A crash reported there as well. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Opinion-driven.
This is Nashville's Morning News with Dan Mandis.
And so, my fellow Americans,
we talk news.
7:06, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Welcome on in to Nashville's Morning News. Once again, Brian Wilson. It is our weekly visit. Brian, how are you?
Pretty good. Listen, I don't know what Amy's going to end up getting for Mother's Day, but I'm pretty sure that on Father's Day, you're just going to get a doghouse. That's all there is.
Scoot over, Bandit. I'm coming in.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, so it's a lot that I want to talk to you about. First of all, let's talk about the ICE raids here in Nashville. Now, I need some audio if I could, KGB. The governor has come out now, and he spoke about this yesterday, and what he says makes sense.
First of all, let me just say, I think we all know, the country knows, that over the past 4 years, a lot of really bad actors have made their way into this country over the border, drug and gang activity and criminals of all types. ICE is, well, President Trump was very clear that he was going to work to remove those folks from our country. Americans elected him to do that. And this ICE activity that's happening and that has happened in Nashville is exactly what that's about. Yep. It is about an effort to remove criminals from the streets.
And now what's great, Brian, is we have our own version of Maryland Man, because we find out now that this, these angels that a lot of folks in the media and people on the left have been defending, turns out amongst them, a convicted child sex predator, a member of Tren de Aragua,
right,
an individual convicted of aggravated assault, and multiple aliens with drug charges. So I don't know. I think it's great.
Again, why take on a 20% issue? It was interesting what the mayor had to say. He's heartbroken. He's heartbroken that laws are being enforced in this country. And then goes on to say repeatedly in that press conference, hey, you know what? Metro Nashville Police was not involved in this at all. He danced around and almost said, without saying the actual words, that Nashville has become a sanctuary city. We're not going to get involved. Our police department is not going to get involved, and we're going to stay out of it. Well, that is basically, part of when you look at the definition of what makes up a sanctuary city. That's one of the things that makes up a sanctuary city.
Well, Brian,
and the Republicans are not going to have it. I mean, the state legislature won't have it. The governor won't have it. It's a stupid position to take, but he has taken it.
Well, and here's what I don't get. And I've got actually both of those comments, because when the governor, I should say the mayor, Lord help us, when the mayor said this.
What's clear is that federal and state authorities are intent on enforcing immigration law. Their approach is not our understanding of what a Nashville for all of us looks like.
And this one.
What's clear today is that people who do not share our values of safety and community have the authority to cause deep community harm. We're still working to determine more about what happened over the weekend, but what we know right now, based on public statements, is that state and federal officials coordinated without us to engage in traffic enforcement actions clearly intended to target immigration concerns.
I would love, Brian, for somebody to ask the mayor the question that you're asking, which is, do you consider Nashville a sanctuary city?
Well, yeah. I mean, it was remarkable, the lack of curiosity on the part of the local press corps, who did not follow up in any way. The obvious question that anybody should have asked is, you say you're concerned about safety. Well, what about the safety of people who are now out there in our community? You've got people coming in illegally who have connections to TDA that are, sex crime, perverts, and all this stuff. What about the safety of the people who live in Nashville? Shouldn't that be, the number one job of being mayor is public safety. And if you've got criminals of this nature on the street and somebody comes in and gets them off the street, that's a good thing, not a bad thing as far as I can tell.
So, Brian, there is a event that is going to happen. I don't know if you've heard this. It's going to be tonight, 7:30, and the I don't know what you'd call it, but the picture of it says honor, resist, and witness. Go to their website. This is what it says. Honor, resist, witness honor I love how they're doing this, the disappeared, right? They're called, that's the phrase that you're using, the disappeared. Resist fascism and witness the strength of community. So I don't know if they came up with this website or this meme or whatever you want to call it. It's like an ad before we found out who these people are. But the left is doing what a lot of the national media did. They're siding with the wrong side, clearly.
Yeah, the state legislature, does the mayor realize the state legislature consists of a conservative supermajority? I mean, because they put out a hot message yesterday. You just played a little soundbite from the governor. He came out and very strongly defended what has happened, and it's going to continue to happen. I just don't understand, again, why Democrats could continue to cling to what is, I think, at best a 20% issue. It really is not going to work out well for them. This is the one thing that Americans pretty much agreed on in the last election.
Yeah, the other thing I thought was interesting was there was one member of the media who asked what I thought was a rather silly question, and that was, do you feel like you've been transparent? Asking the governor, do you feel like you've been transparent in all of this? And my answer to that question would be, and the governor said, we're working with federal authorities, but my answer to that question would be, you're asking me if I was transparent, as in letting what, the entire city know that ICE was going to come in and do a raid?
Transparent would be like, hey, all you illegal aliens, you better go hide because we're coming to town today. That's insane.
Well, and we know that there have been a lot of, we also know that there have been a lot of leaks that have been happening all across the country, especially in Los Angeles, where local authorities do tip off the media. The media tips off these communities as well. All right, let's change subjects real quick.
Okay.
So President Trump, I just played this for Stephen Bucci. President Trump has said
that we have some very big announcement to make. It's not about trade. It's about something else, but it's going to be a truly earth-shattering and positive development for this country and for the people of this country. And that'll take place sometime within the next few days.
I mean, earth-shattering. What do you think it is?
Man, I don't know. I mean, here I went through the list. He says it's not about trade.
Right.
And then he says it's positive for this country and that it's earth-shattering. I thought, well, maybe there's a breakthrough in Ukraine or Gaza, but he seems to be suggesting it's more domestic than foreign. And honestly, when you're in the middle of negotiations on things like trying to stop a war in Ukraine or the conflict in the Middle East, that's not something you tease a couple of days out because it can fall apart. So, I mean, those kind of things fall apart at the drop of a hat. I would never do a 5-day tease or a 3-day tease on something like that. So I don't know. I mean, earth-shattering is a pretty strong word. When you say it's earth-shattering.
Yeah. It's pretty big.
Could
there be some sort of an expansion? Because he's on his way to Saudi Arabia. I mean, do you think that this could be some sort of an expansion of the Abraham Accords?
Maybe it could be, and but again, he seems to be suggesting that it's a positive development for America, for this country. Yeah. Which I guess stopping having world peace is a positive development anytime. But he seems to be hinting that it's more domestic than foreign relations stuff. So
it is.
I got no clue. I heard your earlier guest say something about energy. Could be.
Yeah.
But we also have a lot of things that are out there that they've been promising to release information about. Maybe it's one of those things, the Kennedy assassination. We still have documents out there on that. And I think, he's promised he's going to do something on UFOs, and he's promised that he's going to bring out information about, whether we have gold in Fort Knox. I don't know, what it is, but
imagine,
but look, in broadcasting, we learn very early on the art of the tease, and the tease is a tease doesn't deliver, it only promises to deliver.
Mm-hmm.
That's the old saying we have in broadcasting. A tease doesn't deliver, it only promises to deliver. You don't give everything away when you're teasing a story.
Right.
Well, he's done a brilliant job of that. I mean, that is a television or radio tease worthy of mention. When he says, got something coming, it's going to be earth-shattering, you boy, you're not going to believe it. Well, the first thing that does is everybody's now going to try to figure out what it is.
Yep.
And maybe they will, maybe they won't. But the other thing about it is it sets up, a lot of anxious speculation and builds a little interest. It's the man knows what he's doing.
Oh, he certainly does. And I said earlier, if I was still program director, I'd send that example of a great tease to all of the hosts.
Yeah.
All right, coming up, a big Supreme Court win for Donald Trump. Time to check the roads on WTN.
Yeah.
As far as your weather goes, looks like it's going to be a high of 70 today under some rainy clouds. And Brian Wilson is joining us. Brian, a big victory for Donald Trump. Supreme Court, the ban on transgender in the military, Supreme Court siding with the Trump administration.
Yeah, I think that overall this is a big victory. Supreme Court permitted President Trump, according to Reuters, to implement the ban on transgender people in the military, allowing the armed forces basically to discharge thousands of people who are transgenders in the military. Listen, I think this is about unit cohesiveness. There's a lot here going on, but honestly, in the middle of of war, do we really want to be involved in all of that kind of drama? Do we really want to have that? And I think this is a sign that the Supreme Court ultimately will bring some sanity. Because Democrats are filing lawsuits on everything, as they do.
Yeah.
And so, this is a sign that when it finally works its way, when they finally wins its way through the legal system and gets to the high court, that you're going to have, I would think more often than not, pretty positive responses from a 6-3 conservative majority. So, will we win them all? No. Will some things fall by the wayside? Yeah. Are we disappointed at times in the Chief Justice? Yes, we are. But
and Amy Coney Barrett.
But at the end of the day, probably more times than not, I think the Supreme Court's going to fall in the direction of the Trump administration.
Speaking of which, have you seen now, legal tanglings with the president? Apparently today he wants to send migrants to Libya on a military flight. I don't know if you saw that. That's from the New York Times this morning. I mean, I love the idea of just getting them out of America, but how do you think that's going to go?
I don't know. I haven't not seen that story, but I mean, you've got to get people, processed and out of here and take every option that you have, as far as I'm concerned.
Let me ask you this, Brian. I'm going to play you an audio bite. I want to know if you can name this audio bite. You ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
Here we go. My computer crashed. It's not playing.
No.
Hold on. Here it is. Hold on. This computer is acting wonky in here, Brian. I wish I had your studio. Stand by. Name this sound. What does that sound?
That's the White House press corps in the Oval Office at the end of an event, is what I'm guessing.
Is there not a more dignified way for the media to ask questions?
It has been this way forever, and I have been in some what we call scrums. That's a scrum in our terminology. I have been in more than my share of them, and they've been that way as far as I can remember. There was a time when reporters went into the Oval Office and asked questions, and they could be hard questions, but they were always asked in a polite and civilized way, and people took their turn. That went out the door a long time ago, and they keep doing it. Why do they keep doing it? Because every once in a while you get an answer. I remember one time, just a real quick story, years ago, I was doing chasing around the Speaker of the House, Jim Wright. And he was in the middle of a big scandal, and I was on that story pretty hot and heavy in those days. And he came in to an event. We put a stake out at this event illegally because we weren't supposed to be there, and we're waiting on him because he had been avoiding the press for days. And he came through the back and caught us in a sort of a rear attack, pincher maneuver, and plowed his way into the room. And he was almost in the door, and I shouted out, "Mr. Speaker, why are you avoiding us?" in my best Sam Donaldson voice.
Sure.
And he stopped I mean, he was already in the room, and he got past us, and he stopped and turned around and said, "I have never run from the press corps." Then why won't you answer our questions? And you know what? He said, when I come out of here, I'll answer questions. It's the first time we got any questions. So the reason we do it is because every once in a while, it pays off. And it pays off for some of these reporters. They shout a question, and if it's something Trump wants to talk about, he will. And you never know, when that Hail Mary question is going to be answered.
Do you have your real ID? Today's the day.
Yeah, I've had it for some time now.
I don't. Can you? You're a big highfalutin guy in Watertown. Is there a place in Watertown I could go to get my real ID?
No, I think Lebanon. There's a nice little place over in Lebanon I always go.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, thankfully I've got my passport, but I don't even have an appointment. Amy's been bugging me for like months, and of course here we are.
Yeah, when I'm just looking, I've got mine. It's a star. Got a star on it, so I'm good.
All right, very good. Well, unless you have anything else, it's another great conversation with Brian Wilson. Got anything else?
It's always I always enjoy it. Listen, thanks to the folks at the Wellness Institute of Nashville for being our sponsor on this, because we really do appreciate it. Their desire to have me come on once a week.
Absolutely. All right, Brian, thank you very much. We'll talk to you next week unless events warrant. 7:23 on Super Talk, and Joan Jones is in the WTN newsroom. Joan.
Yeah, some dangerous people. We'll tell you who ICE says they captured in those traffic stops. Also, why your upcoming flights may be delayed, and it has nothing to do with Real ID. Those stories and more at 7:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Wait, that's actually good news. So if the flights are delayed, then people have more time to get that Real ID.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
See what I did there?
Mm-hmm. Dan, go get your Real ID, will you?
All right, 7:24 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. And yes, listen, if you've been sidelined with chronic back, neck, and knee pain, check out my friends at the Wellness Institute of Nashville and Dr. Kevin Mitchell. I've been a client for over 10 years. I have never felt better. Now, I arrived in Tennessee over a decade ago, and I went through spinal decompression therapy for my chronic back pain. I really did help me a lot. Every once in a while, I need an adjustment. I need a tune-up. Dr. Mitch does fix me right up. And right now, a great deal. The Wellness Institute of Nashville is offering the Big 47 offer in honor of our 47th president. 47% off spinal decompression. Now, at Wellness, they utilize the latest high-tech equipment in their state-of-the-art facility to provide effective non-surgical solutions. So call them at 615-246-5009, 615-246-5009. Their website, painisbad.com. That is painisbad.com.
From the United Structural Systems WTN Traffic Center.
Vision for Life is celebrating 20 years of 2020. Hey, it's Dan Mandis. Now, these are the folks that I turned to when I needed to get my vision corrected. Dr. Horn has been recognized by a whole bunch of accomplishments, including being one of America's top 250 premier cataract surgeons, voted Best LASIK Surgery Center, and recently being voted Nashville's best ophthalmologist. Now, these accolades show that his commitment to providing the best in vision care is the same today as when he founded Vision for Life 20 years ago. Experience the difference between world-class expertise and cutting-edge technology. That is what you find at Vision for Life. And again, this is where I had my cataract surgery. They sit you down, they tell you all of the different options, and they help you decide which direction you want to go in. So find them online. It is visionforlife.com. Help them celebrate 20 years of providing 20/20 vision by scheduling your consultation today. 615-436-2020. 615-436-2020. Visionforlife.com.
This hour of Nashville's Morning News brought to you by United Structural Systems. Go to USSTN.com.
$7:29, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Joan, I think I might know what President Trump's big announcement is going to be in the next couple of days. I think I figured it out.
Okay, shoot, go ahead.
No, I'm not going to tell you now. That's we've been talking a lot about teases.
What?
And that's what we would
You're
call
leaving
a
us hanging.
major league broadcaster tease.
Oh, my gosh.
So I'll have that for you right
He's
after.
buying Melania a speed queen.
Right.
No?
I don't think he's buying Melania a speed queen. Well played, though, Joan. Jones, who has the news right now.
Good morning. It's now 7:30, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Stick around for traffic and weather right after the news. 84. That is the number of people who have been detained by ICE agents after traffic stops here in Nashville. And we're learning that at least one member of the Tren de Aragua gang and a child sex predator from Mexico who had been deported a couple of other times were among them. Metro Council's Public Health and Safety Committee, however, is holding a special meeting this afternoon on these arrests. Alexandria Adams at Channel 4.
They're asking the community to show up to demand the names of the people who were detained and where they are now being held. That meeting starts at 4 p.m. at 1 Public Square.
Afterward, a candlelight vigil at Glencliff High School. Heads up, if you have an upcoming flight, nearly 900 flights have been canceled at Newark Liberty Airport in New Jersey since last week's outage that left air traffic controllers and airplanes in the sky with no communication between the two for 90 seconds. Air traffic controllers who were on duty that day have stepped away from their jobs for a period of time. Now, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says his agency is going to fast-track repairs and make other adjustments.
Slow down the traffic, right? So safety is our mission, right? Efficiency is not, we love efficiency, but safety is critical for us. And so if we feel like there's issues in the airspace, we'll slow it down.
That traffic slowdown could affect air traffic travel around the country as well. Cardinals from all across the globe are gathered for their final mass before the papal conclave begins. ABC News chief international correspondent James Longman is in Vatican City with how secrecy is being handled.
These ancient halls will now go into effective lockdown. Jamming technology will ensure no service. The chapel and sleeping quarters swept for bugs, and the small number of assistants, housekeeping and medical staff tending to the electors have also sworn to secrecy. One of the final acts before conclave begins, the doors to the Apostolic Palace sealed with the words conclave and 2025.
Stock futures this morning are pointing up, and that's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. 7:33. Dan Mandis here on Nashville's Morning News. Guys, listen, if you're over 40, if you're running low on energy, maybe you're just feeling off, lowtcenter.com is where you need to go. Get started with testosterone replacement therapy, or TRT, and join lots of guys who are going through the same thing as you. Now, you know that Low T Center, they've got clinics all over Nashville, and they're really easy to get to. You walk in, you see a real medical provider, and you get that energy back. No complicated process, just results. And remember, these treatment plans, they are tailor-made just for you. You can get treatments at the clinic, or you can be treated at home, but either way, you're always going to get the highest quality of care. And right now, in the month of May, you can get a free consultation, and if you qualify, treatment is covered by most major medical insurance. So reclaim that energy and become you again. By the way, they can also help with prescription weight loss options as well. So head on over right now to lowtcenter.com and book your appointment today. That is lowtcenter.com. Simple, quick, and totally worth it. Dan Mandis here for my friends at Stoltz Co. Listen, they are the premier pole barn builders here in the state of Tennessee. If you've got a piece of land or some property you don't know what to do with, think about putting a pole barn on that land, and it could increase the value big time. And you know, I've been telling you about Stoltz Co. for years. You can use your pole barn from Stoltz Co. as literally anything. A garage, an event space, an equestrian building. You can just live in it. We call those barn dominiums. Pole barns from Stoltz Co., they are flexible. They're built really well. And you can also, by the way, plan ahead and build your retirement home. Call them today. Tell them Dan told you to reach out. Stoltz Co., 615-622-5992. If you don't know what a pole barn is, you want to check them out on Instagram, Facebook as well. They've got great social media sites, and you can check out their handiwork. You can always find them online as well. Their website, STOLTZCO, stoltzco.com.
Got an accident in Antioch on 24, the westbound lane, slowing things down around Hickory Hollow Parkway. Also in Pegram, 40 eastbound past McCrory Lane, exit 192. That's a crash. The right shoulder is blocked off. It involves 4 vehicles. There's a couple of accidents in that mess this morning, so that's going to be there for quite a while. There is a crash as well on Old Hickory Boulevard, westbound in Tusculum. This one involves injuries. It's right before Nolensville Pike. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
7:37, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Dan Mandis here along with Joan Jones, KGB as well.
That we have some very big announcement to make. It's not about trade. It's about something else, but it's going to be a truly earth-shattering and positive development for this country and for the people of this country. And that'll take place sometime within the next few days.
All right, so Joan, I think I figured it out.
Oh, okay.
Donald Trump is going to rename the San Andreas Fault to Joe Biden's fault. See, I got to laugh.
That would be amazing.
JT, thank you for the text. I'm gonna throw JT the credit because he sent that in.
Honestly, I didn't even know if that was a joke or not. I was like hesitant at first. Like, is this?
No, I think.
Do you know that actually I could see Trump doing
I could
that.
see him doing it too.
I could totally do that.
Like he's obviously like teasing something big, and it's gonna be it might be something like that. It might be something totally like not earth shattering.
Listen, it is Joe Biden's fault. Whatever it is Joe Biden's fault.
Yes, absolutely.
By the way, real quick, did you know, Joan, and then I'm going to move on, but did you know that men are now cutting their eyelashes off?
They're cutting their eyelashes off.
Yeah, they believe a whole story on that this morning. I actually wasted my time reading this, but apparently eyelashes among the manly men of America, eyelashes are like right there in sissy world, and so they don't want eyelashes, and they're literally cutting them off.
That makes no sense.
I know it doesn't make any sense, but
eyelashes don't grow like hair does. It's not smart. It also helps you protect your eyes from dust and other things. So don't do that.
Chicks love long eyelashes on guys.
Do you know how many times I've been complimented on my eyelashes?
Same.
You mean you've had somebody get that close?
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, I have. What?
I have naturally curly eyelashes, and I've been complimented on them, and it's a nice feeling to be complimented on something like that.
Well, apparently, and then I'll get back to the news, but apparently CNN did this whole thing.
Oh, it figures.
Well, no, it's why men are shaving off their eyelashes.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, all this stupidity is taking place on TikTok, right?
Yeah, it's insecurity at its finest.
I did know a guy who did this, and
that's crazy.
Here's the funny thing, and I'm not like doing any shaming or whatever. Dude had to be like 70 pounds overweight, and so he was telling me about how he shaves off his eyelashes. He didn't find them to be particularly manly, and I'm sitting there thinking, okay, but that 8 months pregnant beer belly that you have, that makes you look all the better. Yet it's the eyelashes that he was concerned about.
2227 says guys are chopping off or cutting off more important stuff than that.
Well.
Oh, well, yes. Yeah. Well, yeah, there's that. Can you imagine, though, getting a blade that close to your eyelashes?
Yeah, I don't like it.
Wow,
When I got my eye procedure done, that's as close as a blade I want to my eye.
They call this the rise of masculine energy.
Oh, my God.
This is not masculine,
That's not masculine
people.
energy.
Yeah.
They say luscious lashes have been a signifier of femininity or attractiveness for centuries on women. But apparently they're now, as KGBU said, the sign of insecurity is, some dude
That's my one
shaving
problem.
off his eyelashes.
That's my one problem. It's totally not anything else. Not my personality or anything.
Both of my sons have really beautiful eyelashes. And if they ever cut them off, they'd hear from this mama.
I just don't know what would somebody actually. I mean, it just sounds bizarre and strange.
It does.
I've joked about it to mess with my mom, but I've never been like at that point in my life where I'm like, oh my God, I'm not getting any girls. I'm gonna chop off my eyelashes. That'll change something. Like, what are you thinking, dude? If you're really that insecure about yourself or your masculinity that you need to chop off your eyelashes, you got to see a therapist.
Do you know who I bet you has long eyelashes?
Who?
Gavin Newsom.
It's the worst cost overrun I've ever seen. I've watched a lot of stupid people build a lot of stupid things, but that's the worst
Trump going
cost
after
overrun
Gavin
I've ever
Newsom.
seen. What's happening between San Francisco and Los Angeles. And you ought to ask about that because this government is not going to pay. I told our very great new Secretary of Transportation, he's doing a good job, Sean Duffy, I said, we're not going to pay for that thing. They are just, it's out of control.
You know what he's talking about? He's talking about that train, the high-speed train between San Francisco and Los Angeles.
That has never been finished.
Yeah.
that now is requiring even more money.
I like how Donald Trump just calls him out and calls him, stupid. Because this project, and I know all about this because I used to be on in San Francisco all the time. So this thing was supposed to be done years ago. This train started construction back in 2008, and it was supposed to cost like $40 billion. You know how much it's projected to cost now? $135 billion.
That's insane.
And it's supposed to be done in 2045.
2045.
2045.
And by 2045, they'll say, we didn't have enough money for this.
In 2045, we'll have flying cars.
Yeah.
You can
That's some sort of there's some money laundering going on with that.
You can hyperspace to San Francisco or Los Angeles if you're in the other city. I mean, it just, the whole thing. And so I love when Trump, he's going after Gavin. I love Gavin Newsom,
30 times over budget, 30 times. It's the craziest thing and now it's hundreds of, it was supposed to be a simple train. And I think the media should take a look at it. And I'd love him to run for president on the other side. I'd love to see that. But I don't think he's going to be running because that one project alone, well, that and the fires and a lot of other things, pretty much put him out of the race.
So, number one, I don't know. I believe that Gavin Newsom is going to try to run. But here's the thing. He doesn't have anything to run on, does he? Now, in fairness to Gavin Newsom, whatever, he started being the governor in, I think it was 2019, and this thing has been a train wreck for years. But to me, what this does show is that Democrat rule, they lead to all kinds of catastrophic mistakes. I mean, whether it's immigration, whether it is the bullet train between San Francisco or Los Angeles, it is train wreck after train wreck after a train wreck. Now, why is it? And here's why I say that. Do you know why it is that it's taken so long for this train to, see any kind of progress? It was because the Democrats underestimated the cost initially. Then the funding was mismanaged, and the project itself was mismanaged. And then you have the massive environmental and regulatory issues as well. Now, I know that you've all heard these kinds of things before regarding California, but they've had all kinds of massive lawsuits from environmental groups as well. So this is what Democrat rule leads to. And so for the Republicans, I think that they would be excited to run against Gavin Newsom because there are so many attack points with him, because California has done nothing but gotten worse under his reign. And so I love this audio that I played the other day with Gavin Newsom. It's yet another, people are calling this, yet another campaign video of Gavin Newsom.
We lost. We lost the popular vote and we lost the electoral vote. We got crushed. And we need to be humble about that, and we need to have some grace, and we need to understand why. Was it because of the incumbency penalty? Was it because of inflation? Was it because of interest rates? Was it because of immigration? Was it because we were too, quote unquote, woke? Was it because of issues with Israel? Was it all of the above? I think we are going through that forensic. We need to understand at the same time, we also have to push back against the whitewaters and headwinds of the Trump administration.
But so, I mean, that, and I broke that down a couple of days ago. I'm not going to do it over again. But the bottom line is that he's calling out the Democrats and doing all of these things. Well, he's guilty of a lot of the same things that he's calling out the Democrats for. I mean, that's how he ran California with all of this woke BS. You could also talk about mismanagement of budgets. You could talk about how California is a sanctuary state. Los Angeles, San Francisco, all these are sanctuary cities as well. And so everything that Gavin Newsom said in that audio bite, he himself is guilty of. So, yes, Lord have mercy. Let's pray that Gavin Newsom decides to run for the White House. Many, many attack points. It is 7:46. Time to check the roads on WTN. As far as your weather goes, a high of 70 today's and some rain. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News, 60 degrees. By the way, speaking of California, Trump thought it would be a good idea to institute a 100% tariff on any and all movies coming into our country being filmed out of country that are produced in foreign lands. Now, I don't know, Joan, if you heard this story, but I'm a little confused by it. Like, why would he do that? Why would he, number one, why would President Trump want to bail out, of all places, Hollywood and the movie industry? Because they hate him.
They do.
But putting all that aside, remember why studios have fled from California to, say, for example, Canada? Because of the unions and the regulations. The unions have made it almost impossible to film in California. So the movie producers, they do go to Canada and other places. They've left Hollywood. They've gone to places like Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia, New Mexico, I think New York as well, and some other places. But Trump wants to tariff these movies that are produced outside of America. This is California's own doing, because Gavin Newsom is out there now praising Donald Trump and saying, oh, yes, this was Gavin Newsom's response on X. California built the film industry, and we're ready to bring even more jobs home. We've proven what strong state incentives can do. Newsom's post on X said, now it's time for a real federal partnership to make America film again. Well, America is filming again, just not in California, because California, like a lot of things in California, the leftists in California ruined the film industry because, again, of all of the regulations, because of the cost, because, again, of the unions. And so I don't really understand why the president is doing this. He also, I would point out, there's a lot of movies, American-made movies that are filmed in other nations because that's where the movie takes place, right? Like, for example, Mission Impossible. That is an American-made movie, but, I mean, they film it in the UK because that's where a lot of these things take place. Or, I don't know, I can't name any other movies that are American movies but made outside of the United States. But bottom line is, if you're filming a movie about, I don't know, Switzerland, then you're going to go on location into Switzerland. So I didn't really understand that. Did you? I didn't really get it.
Thinking about if you're a fan of the series The Chosen.
Okay.
It takes place in Israel. Of course, it's the life of Jesus. And they film it all in Texas. The whole thing's filmed in Texas.
So they make Texas look like Israel.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it can happen. So I think maybe you could. There's so much AI that could maybe make it look like
that is true.
You've got Switzerland in Texas or
that
wherever.
Is true.
You know?
Yeah, that is true.
They can do it if they want.
Do you know where Star Wars was filmed?
No.
KGB, do you know where Star Wars was filmed?
I do not.
I'll tell you coming up next. It is 7:51.
You're the tease man today.
Should we just title this,
Woo!
It's just a big tease?
It is 7:51 on Super Talk, man. And I tell you what time it is.
Yeah.
I'll do that next. I'm totally kidding. 7:51, Joan Jones.
You need help.
What's coming? Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Joan, what's coming up?
Yeah, there may be a mistrial declared in the corruption trial of a couple of former state officials. Also, Disney is expanding again, but some questions about this one. That and more coming up at 8 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Dan Mandis here from my carpet cleaning company, Zero Res. Now, I've been a client for years and years of Zero Res. One big reason is that they really do help my allergies. Now, you folks that have been listening to me for a long time, You know that I have really bad allergies. Well, carpet is the #1 air filter inside your home. It filters out airborne particulates and pollen and bacteria. You name it, Zero Res is going to filter out the bad stuff so you can keep your filter clean. Again, that's your carpet. Now, Zero Res does this better than anyone. They don't use any harsh chemicals or soaps, just powered water that leaves behind soft and fluffy carpets. Now, again, remember, a clean filter means a healthier home. Here in allergy season, that is critical for you and your family. Now, one of the other things that I really like about Zero Res is that they simply don't raise their prices. They haven't in years. Every month, also, they have a new offer to save you money. And right now, 2 rooms of carpets cleaned, just $109, and you are going to get a free hallway and 25% off of area rugs. Again, 2 rooms of carpets cleaned, just $109, and you are going to get a free hallway plus 25% off of area rugs. Restrictions may apply. Call them 615-535-9376, 615-535-9376. Book online, ZeroResNashville.com. $7:56, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. All right, so where was Star Wars filmed, Joan?
I don't know.
Tunisia.
Oh, a couple of people said that on the super text line.
Also, I have a
Smartest listeners ever.
I have a confession to make. So when I said, where was Star Wars filmed, I'll tell you after the break.
Yeah.
While that may have been a great tease,
you didn't know before you said it.
I actually forgot.
He was telling me when we were on break, he goes, I got to be honest, I completely forgot. And I'm like, you have to tell him you forgot.
It was in my notes because people may or may not know, I've got a crap ton of notes. And so sometimes what happens is I will accidentally delete something. And so I think what happened is I accidentally deleted it. But Tunisia, there's a whole Star Wars thing where people actually go to Tunisia. And by the way, I don't think going to Tunisia is worth seeing, where Star Wars was filmed.
It's the same thing with New Zealand because Lord of the Rings was filmed there. So people go to New Zealand to visit where they put the set of Lord of the Rings.
Got it. But see, going back to the whole Donald Trump, tariffing movies made outside of America, And Joan has a decent point, a good point, which is that, all right, well, you can make anywhere in America look like New Zealand if you want to, or Switzerland or whatever, or Tunisia. You can, but I don't know. I don't know why the president is, number one, wanting to bail out Hollywood. That's number one. And number two, I don't know. That's one of those things where, at least to me, California made its mess. California made its mess, and now they've got to deal with the consequences, and they'll never learn.
When you were talking about the train,
yes,
that's never been built.
Yes.
A lot of our super texters were likening it to Mayor Freddie O'Connell and his transit system, which
that's Democrats, but that's Democrats. Democrats have been. That's why when yet another Democrat mayor comes out with yet another transit system.
Yes.
I used to go, in the weeds, man, and all that stuff. I totally nerd out on it. I've learned that it's just, they never happen.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I don't get as excited. By the way, real quickly, Aaron sent this to me. This is an exclusive from the Daily Mail. Trump's closest allies chilling warning to the president about neocons. It's Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Oh, yeah.
Got something to say about Marjorie Taylor Greene?
No, she's
a conservative firebrand,
She is, but she comes in hot on a lot of issues on the side of the issue that I'm surprised at.
Which is?
I saw something this week, and I really can't remember what it was that made me scratch my head. Go, what? She took that position?
You know what, Joan? We can do that as a tease. Just say, you know what? All you have to do is say, I'll tell you after the news.
I'll tell you after the news, Dan.
And then nobody knows that you actually forgot what you were going to say, which is what happened to me.
I shouldn't be so transparent.
So Marjorie Taylor Greene, that's I think about that every day after the show. Why am I so transparent? Good Lord. Anyway. She says that there's a lot of Republicans who are addicted to foreign wars. And she says the neocons and some of these Republicans that are addicted to foreign wars like Ukraine, they are a massive threat to Donald Trump. And I believe that she's true. That is true. It's 8 o'clock on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning, now 8 o'clock, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Must be something on the roadway on 40 eastbound in Pegram this morning. The eastbound side, just past McCrory Lane, exit 192, there is a 4-vehicle crash that blocks off the right shoulder, and we're being told that this is the third crash in the same spot this morning. We'll keep an eye on that. Traffic and weather right after the news. In the news, if you're headed to the airport, got to keep in mind that the requirement for real ID begins today, and that may come as a surprise to some travelers.
I think there's going to be a lot of nervous people if they get to the line and they're like, do you have your real ID? And they're going to be like, my what?
That man speaking to Channel 4 now at BNA early this morning. If you don't have your real ID, you can bring along a passport instead, or even a federally approved form of ID. Kids under 18 don't need one to fly. The corruption case of former Tennessee House Speaker Glenn Cassada and his chief of staff, Cade Cothran, may end up as a mistrial. Yesterday, prosecutors mistakenly played part of a recorded interview between Cassada and FBI agents that was supposed to have been redacted for jurors. And with that, defense lawyers called for a mistrial. The judge replying, quote, "We just can't have an error like this." A mistrial would mean that case would start over with a new jury. Renting an apartment in Nashville can be a nightmare.
They don't even have prices on their websites like that. That's why. Like, how do you do research when you have to go call in? The price could change next week.
And Channel 4's Brendan Tierney says Metro Council will take up a resolution supporting an investigation into high rent prices.
The resolution sponsors say rent keeps going up, even as the housing supply is starting to meet the demand of Nashville's growth. A new analysis of Zillow data shows that the median rent price in Nashville is now over $1,800 a month. And across the county, the average home sale price has reached $428,000.
Also, the Justice Department, Tennessee, and some other states have all sued to stop landlords from using algorithms to set prices. And the Walt Disney Company expanding its reach, announcing that it'll open a theme park and resort in Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates. Already, Abu Dhabi is hosting the entertainment shows from Disney, like the Broadway version of The Lion King and Disney on Ice. Abu Dhabi and the rest of the United Arab Emirates are all Muslim-majority countries with strict Islamic laws on cultural and religious norms. Market Numbers Report brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Stock futures are on the rise this morning on the upcoming U.S.-China trade talks that were announced yesterday. So we've got Dow futures plus 224 right now. NASDAQ futures gaining 83. S&P futures, they're up 26. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather. Next, I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Okay, so crews are still working on that accident scene on 40 eastbound past McCrory Lane, exit 192. It's 4 vehicles involved in a crash, and this is the third crash in that same spot this morning. So maybe a great place to avoid if you can. The Nation's crash involving injuries on Delaware Avenue at 47th Avenue North and in Antioch, the eastbound lanes of 24. An accident that takes out the right shoulder at Hickory Hollow Parkway. Also, your general volume delays on 24 as you make your way in on the westbound side. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.807 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You can follow me on Twitter, X, at Dan Mandis Show. And Jimmy tagged me, Joan Jones, and JB, actually, in a in a tweet, in a post. Have you seen this, Joan?
I'm going to go look right now.
It's a real life historical marker. On this exact spot in the afternoon of April 27th of 1968, a marital argument was won by the husband.
I don't think that place exists. I think that
funny.
We might have to do research on that.
Listen, just so we're clear, ladies, hey, Joan.
Yeah.
Stop listening for a second.
Okay.
Guys, it's working. We all know that we like to make the women think that they won the argument when they really didn't. That's like the guy's secret, isn't it? Right? Okay.
No, I think it's just that the woman really won.
Joan, you're not supposed to listen.
Oh,
you were
sorry.
supposed to be
Come
listening,
on.
woman. Unbelievable.
Sometimes I do things I shouldn't do.
That's okay.
Dan, but careful about listening to Dan. It's a 60% success rate.
So the funny thing is when I was talking about where Star Wars was filmed, do you know how many people said space? Come on, man.
I mean, it was Tatooine. There was also Alderaan.
Yeah, we're not going to go back. But
Okay.
all I'm saying is that
You're in my wheelhouse.
Yeah, well, anyway, moving right along. Mark Carney. Now, a lot of people talking. Oh, by the way, a lot of people talking about, just real quickly, Marjorie Taylor Greene. I ended the last hour with an exclusive. Did you remember, Joan, what it was that you, Marjorie Taylor? You didn't.
I was doing something I shouldn't be doing.
What? What were you doing?
Oh,
No, I don't know. What were you doing?
I was online,
Doing what? You're supposed to be working.
Yeah.
Whatever. All right. So I actually agree with Marjorie Taylor Greene. One of the biggest. Here's my thing. Do you know what I think one of the biggest threats to Donald Trump is right now? House Republicans. House Republicans, they are not doing what they need to be doing to codify his executive orders. I had a conversation with Scott Desjardins on that yesterday, and I think you've got a lot of Republicans that don't want to do what the American people voted Donald Trump in to do. I think that they're weak-kneed. I think they don't have the testicular fortitude to get this crap done. And I got to tell you that it really is frustrating. Many, many conservatives across the country. And I, for one, am sick and tired of the nonsense and the non-action with the Republicans in the House of Representatives. I'm sick of it. I mean, they've been doing diddly and squat for months now. Nothing is getting done. And I don't understand it. I mean, fight for your principles. Fight for your president, Republicans in the House of Representatives. Because here's my prediction. You know what my prediction is, Joan?
What is it?
My prediction is that if nothing gets done and Donald Trump's 145, 150 executive orders, if they ultimately don't get codified, voted into law in the House of Representatives and the Senate, I think you are going to have a mass exodus of people from the Republican Party. Because if we can't get this crap done, owning the White House, the Senate, and the House of Representatives, if we can't get this done, with Donald Trump in office, with the landslide that we had in the Electoral College and, of course, the popular vote as well, if we can't get this done now, then why the hell do we bother voting? That's the thing.
Yeah.
If we can't get this crap done now, I almost said the S word. If we can't get this crap done now, we're never going to be able to get it done. So why the hell bother? Now, that's my emotions talking. I get ticked off. Then what little logic and reasoning I have takes over. And I do know why we always continue to vote. Because it would be a lot worse if the Democrats own the House of Representatives, which, by the way, guess what? If the Republicans don't get off their arse, the Democrats will own the House of Representatives. Then we all know what's going to happen. They're going to impeach Donald Trump, or at least try. And all progress
comes to a screeching halt.
Comes to a screeching scald. A screeching scald.
Was that real?
That was real.
I thought you were joking.
No, I wish I could do that.
No, that was
a screeching halt.
That was a Danurism.
That was a Danurism.
I might have to clip that.
What did I even say? A screeching scald? Is that what I said?
You just mixed all the words like a dyslexic.
Actually, you know what? That actually happens to me a lot. And I don't know why. I hope I don't have a brain tumor.
Do you have are you dyslexic?
No, I'm not dyslexic.
Well, that's
dyslexic.
basic. I mean, I've never seen someone literally mix so many words
that
together.
that I don't know why that does. That happens to me on occasion, and then if I tried to do it, I can't.
Right.
It was just an unconscious thing that just happened.
Somebody actually did say to me, "That's an uncanny ability," and I said, "Not for a broadcaster," because that happens when I'm on the radio, and it actually happens when I'm just talking in real life too. Whatever. Anyway, so bottom line is, the Republicans, they are going to sit their way through losing the majority in the House of Representatives. I think that, because I speak to a lot of conservatives, I speak to a lot of Republicans, I speak to a lot of people who are Donald Trump supporters, and if the Republicans don't get this done, then I just think you're going to have a lot of people that do say screw it. I mean, am I wrong on that? Am I wrong on that, super texters? Well, 1313 says bingo. It's the first one I'm seeing, so I don't know. We need Republicans. That's why I had that little meltdown after interviewing Congressman Scott Desjardins yesterday. And it has nothing to do with Desjardins. I'm just so incredibly frustrated with this lack of fire within the Republican Party, especially in the House of Representatives, because I want them to be more pissed off. I do. I want them to go at the speed of Trump. And they're simply not doing it. You know, they appear on, Fox News and they say all the right things. But when it comes down to actually getting stuff done, it's like they just, we'll get it done at some point. So you know what? File a damn bill. Do something. Get some legislation going. And try to make some progress. I don't know. Am I right or wrong? Hey, KGB, let's do a poll. You want to do a poll real quick?
Sure. Do you want to know the final tallies of our last poll?
Yeah, real quick. And then I want to do a new poll.
Okay, so it was who has a real ID. 56% say yes, 43% say no, 1% have an appointment to get it.
1% have an appointment?
Yeah.
Okay.
I added that as a third because I don't know how many people.
All right, so I want to know if the Republican Party in the House of Representatives, if they don't get their crap together and start codifying, voting into law some of these executive orders that Donald Trump is doing, do you believe that there will be a mass exodus of the Republican Party where people are just going to throw up, word it any way you want. You get my gist. People are just going to throw up their hands and say, screw it. Why are we doing this? I think that might actually happen. And I would hate that. But again, as we said, we got the White House, we got the Senate, we got the House of Representatives. And if we can't get this done for Trump, then a lot of people who may be new to politics, by the way, remember, Donald Trump brought a lot of new folks to politics. And you're going to have a lot of people that maybe have just discovered, the political game. And they might decide, well, this is just dumb. Why am I even bothering? I could absolutely see that happening. 615-737-9986. 9113, you're absolutely right, Dan. All right, very good. It looks like a lot of people agree with me. 8:15, but take the poll. How did we word it, KGB, real quick?
Do you believe if Republicans can't get stuff done, that there will be an exodus from the party?
Is that how you worded it? Stuff done?
I have to limit it to a certain amount of characters, so I can't say like
all right, very good.
Yeah.
8:15, time to check the roads on WTN. Weather today, a high of 70 and some rain. Now, 0026 says, you got to chill, man. You got to chill. They're working on the big, beautiful bill. Okay, but what about before that? Because we're in, May now, right? So they started work on the big, beautiful bill, 6 weeks ago? It went into reconciliation, I think. So they had plenty of time to do all of this. They do all of this futzing around. I did say futzing. They do all of this futzing around.
But can you spell it?
Futzing. S-I-N-G. They do all this futzing around and, yeah, we're working on this, we're working on that, and nothing, they're working on budgets and reconciliation, continuing resolutions and all those kinds of things. And I get it. But, maybe what they need to do is spend more time in Washington, D.C. Maybe they need to spend more, because I think right now, 3-4 days a week they spend in D.C.? Work a flippin' Saturday like the rest of Americans. Maybe work some overtime. I know y'all have, you have re-elections and you have to, go meet with donors and all that kind of crap. The best thing you could do, I would say this to Republicans, the best thing that you can do instead of going to talk to donors, maybe what you need to do is just get your damn job done. Maybe that's what you need to do. Because in my opinion, that is far more important than going to ask for political donations. You would need as many donations if you just got your crap done. I was in a good mood until I started this whole thing. President Trump welcoming Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney. I loved this yesterday, just real quick. I loved this yesterday because y'all know what's going on with Canada, right? You had Justin Trudeau, liberal. He gets voted out, and you had Mark Carney going against a Republican whose name or conservative, and I don't remember the Pierre Bolivev, I think that was his name, something like that. But anyway, and then Trump comes in hard and heavy on Canada, talks about 51st state and all of that. And Canada kind of had a rebellion, and they voted against Donald Trump. And the new liberal prime minister from Canada was at the White House yesterday. And here's what he said.
Thank you very much, everybody. It's a great honor to have Prime Minister Mark Carney with us. As you know, just a few days ago, he won a very big election in Canada. And I think I was probably the greatest thing that happened to him, but I can't take vote credit.
Yep, I mean that, and I think Trump is actually right on that. He kept going after Justin Trudeau. He kept talking about making Canada the 51st state. He, of course, we all know what's going on with the tariff war. And with Trump, it was just constant attacks. All of that leads up to Election Day, and on Election Day in Canada, Trump actually sent out a Truth Social telling Canadians to vote for someone who could help make Canada the 51st state. And so when Trump says that he did Mark Carney a favor, that's what he's talking about. Tariffs and trade, a big part of the conversation yesterday. The president was asked about what major concessions did he want out of Canada. I thought this was surprising.
Concession?
Yes.
Friendship. We're going to be friends with Canada. Regardless of anything, we're going to be friends with Canada.
I mean, he really was on a charm offensive. Is that what they call it? A charm offensive? Yeah. Very charming, being very nice to Mark Carney. Then, of course, the question of Canada being the 51st state does come up. It was inevitable.
No. Well, I still believe that, but takes two to tango, right? But no, I do. I mean, I believe it would be a massive tax cut for the Canadian citizens. You get free military, you get tremendous medical cares and other things. There would be a lot of advantages, but it would be a massive tax cut. And it's also a beautiful, as a real estate developer, I'm a real estate developer at heart. When you get rid of that artificially drawn line, somebody drew that line many years ago with like a ruler, just a straight line right across the top of the country. When you look at that beautiful formation when it's together, I'm a very artistic person, but when I looked at that beauty, I said that's the way it was meant to be. But I do feel it's much better for Canada, but we're not going to be discussing that unless somebody wants to discuss it.
So Trump says all that, and the prime minister apparently did want to discuss it, only to say...
As you know from real estate, there are some places that are never for sale.
That's true.
We're sitting in one right now, Buckingham Palace, that you visited as well.
That's true.
And having met with the owners of Canada over the course of the campaign last several months, it's not for sale, won't be for sale ever. But the opportunity is in the partnership and what we can build together. And we have done that in the past. And part of that, as the president just said, is with respect to our own security. And my government is committed for a step change in our investment in Canadian security and our partnership, and I'll say this as well, that the president has revitalized international security, revitalized NATO, and us playing our full weight in NATO, and that will be part of it.
All right, so President Trump, of course, hearing that Canada is not for sale, this is what made the headlines.
But never say never. Never say never.
People go absolutely nuts
Love
when the
that
president. Right? Wasn't it a kind of a fun moment?
But never say never. Never say never.
I guess people freak out. And
They're
then
like Pavlov's dogs.
Oh,
that
my
response, it will always happen at those words.
You're right. And then, of course, a follow-up question.
But I say never. I've had many, many things that were not doable, and they ended up being doable, and only doable in a very friendly way. But if it's to everybody's benefit, Canada loves us, and we love Canada. That's, I think, the number one thing that's important. But we'll see. I mean, over time, we'll see what happens.
All right, so that is President Trump. By the way, people reacting to a mass exodus of the Republican Party, in my opinion, we could see. Here's what I mean by that. Because some people are saying, well, one person said, I think it was 41, but they're coming in so heavy, fast. To what alternative? Realize that there's a lot of people that voted for Donald Trump that are not politically driven. They voted for Donald Trump and they're new to politics. And we certainly saw that in the first Trump administration. They're new to politics. And part of what Trump and the Republicans need to try to do is make those folks who are, really fans of and supporters of Donald Trump, you've got to turn them into supporters of the Republican Party. Well, it's a little hard to be supportive of a party that can't get anything done. Now, I agree with you. I will always vote. But I'm just telling you, as a guy who watches such things, that before Donald Trump came along, remember there were so many people that were so disgusted with politics. Remember that? And then Trump comes along, and part of the storyline was all of these people came back to politics because it was like, oh my gosh, we have somebody who's not a politician. He's here speaking for the common man, and he's going to shake up Washington, D.C., and all of those other things. Well, my fear, and I'm not trying to help the Democrats, trust me when I say that, but the Republicans in the House, they got to give us a reason to support them. They've got to give us a reason to believe that they are trying to actually get some stuff done. And I'm sorry, but it just doesn't feel like that. And so I don't want the Democrats to have more power. Trust me when I say that, but I'm just, I don't cheerlead for the Republicans, if you will. I want them to get off their arse and get stuff done, because if they don't, then I think people who are supporters of Donald Trump will just throw up their hands, and especially those people that were involved in politics and enjoyed politics and they voted all the time. Well, those people will just go back to political hibernation because they were already sick of politics when Trump came along. I mean, a lot of you folks, and I know, Joan knows, what politics is like, and do-nothing politicians, but we thought that Donald Trump was going to be able to break through that. And he has, in a certain way, by getting all of these executive orders done, but we also, again, need the Republicans to do something about it. And I do understand some of this stuff is in the, air quote, big, beautiful bill. I'm right there with you. I'm totally with you on that. But how long are they going to have? And what is in this big, beautiful bill? And are they going to be able to get a lot of that stuff through? And here's the other thing. Just try to get some of these things codified, some of these executive orders codified. Just try. And if they don't, well, then you can blame it on the Democrats. But I don't see the people in the House really doing much of anything. I am so late. 8:27. Yep, 8:27. I don't even, where am I at? Am I teasing Joan? Is that where I'm at? All right, Joan, what's coming up? Am I teasing Joan?
Yeah, you are. We have new details about who just was swept up in those ICE traffic stops. And also, we'll tell you the ICE raids that ensnared a network news anchor's husband. We've got that and more coming up here at 8:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
$827, Dan Mandis here. And listen, the weather in Middle Tennessee can get crazy, which is why you need a backup home standby generator from my friends at the Generator Supercenter, the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer. Get a free quote and get peace of mind when you have one installed. The Generator Supercenter does feature expert installation, 24-hour monitoring as well. They're not going to leave you in the dark, and financing is available. 615-879-1952. 615-879-1952. Generator Supercenter of Nashville.com. $829, Nashville's Morning News. Dan Mandis here for my friends at Window Nation. Now, I endorse these folks because they did great work for me. If you've got old and inefficient windows, it is time to upgrade with Window Nation. They were ranked highest on Forbes' list of best window installers. Window Nation, they put new windows in my basement studio, my kitchen, and my bedroom. They look fantastic, and they can do the same for you. Now, right now, a great new deal going on for listeners to my show. They are, by the way, these windows made in the USA. You buy 4 windows, you get 4 additional windows absolutely free, plus no payments or interest until 2027. These windows are energy efficient, so not only are you saving money on install, but on your electricity bills as well. Now, don't forget the great deal. 4 windows, you buy 4 windows, you get 4 additional windows free, plus no payments or interest until 2027. 866-90-NATION. Tell them you want the Dan deal. 866-90-NATION, windownation.com.
Good morning. It's now 8:30, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. One of the top stories this morning is a problem on the roads. We've got 40 eastbound past McCrory Lane still jammed up this morning because of a 4-vehicle crash that's now on the right shoulder. The right shoulder is blocked off, but we're learning from TDOT that this is the 3rd crash in that very same spot this morning. Great place to avoid if you can. In the news, new details about the ICE traffic stops in Nashville. ICE telling local media there have been 84 arrests since Saturday, including a Tren de Aragua gang member from Venezuela and a convicted child molester from Mexico who had been deported multiple times. Fox 17 reports that they spoke to some undocumented immigrants who are considering self-deporting because of these ICE operations. Well, ICE agents raided several restaurants in D.C. yesterday, including Chef Jeff's. It's a chain of restaurants that's owned by the husband of CBS News anchor Norah O'Donnell. ICE agents were said to be asking for employees' I-9 forms. Those are the employment verification records for foreign workers. Well, it's happened again. A U.S. Navy jet from the USS Harry S. Truman aircraft carrier is now missing.
For the second time in 8 days, a $70 million U.S. fighter jet has been lost in the Red Sea. Officials say the F-18 was attempting to land on the USS Harry S. Truman at night when it fell off the deck, plunging into the water. Both pilots ejected in time. Just last week, an F-18 on the Truman went overboard while being towed. Other recent issues on the carrier include a collision with a merchant vessel back in February and the accidental shoot-down of a fighter jet back in December.
That's ABC's Rhiannon Alley reporting. There won't be a Triple Crown winner this year. We've just learned this morning that the Kentucky Derby winning horse, Sovereignty, is not running in the Preakness on the 17th of this month. Sovereignty's trainer said he wants to give that horse more time between races. Money News brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Stocks ticking higher this morning at the start. We've got the Dow Jones Industrials up 224. NASDAQ is up 42 points. The S&P 500 index is gaining 18. All of this is traders are looking to the upcoming U.S.-China trade talks and the decision from the Federal Reserve on interest rates this afternoon. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. 832, Nashville's Morning News. Tony from Cabinet Solutions is on the line. Tony, we are a couple of days ahead of Mother's Day. Let's talk about closet cabinetry and how that's not just for women these days.
That is correct, Dan. You know, when I first got my closet, I was surprised at how it made me feel. I always thought it was for a woman, but you know, I've got this organization about me now that I never had. You know, it's just, you know, my clothes are where they're supposed to be, my shoes, my belts, my suits, my ties, watch winders, jewelry, hats, all that stuff. It just makes you feel better in the morning when everything is where it's supposed to be. And, you know, experiencing very nice looking space, organized space to start your day, it's like getting into a freshly detailed car. You just feel better about yourself and you feel better about the day.
Do you know, I had new closets put in a couple of years ago, Tony. All my socks now suddenly match. That's what I love about new closets.
If it's just for that, you know, things don't disappear.
That's exactly right. All right, Tony, the website, thanks for calling in. The website, check it out, cabinetsolution.com. That is cabinetsolution.com. All right, so this is not a pretend tease, Joan.
Okay.
Chris Hand has brought an amazing story to the 835 segment.
Is that right?
Stop. You're far too kind.
No, you did. And it's great. So,
And you're going to tell us about it right after traffic.
I'm going to tell you about it right after I tell you folks about Loan Pronto.
Oh, okay.
I actually, just for the record, I have two amazing stories.
You do?
I have two.
Okay, very good. Then that's...
Not to be outdone by himself.
Well, that's actually two more than I have. So.
Stop,
All
guys.
right, moving right along. 8:35 on Nashville's Morning News. Dan Mandis here. For Loan Pronto, are your monthly bills keeping you up at night? If you're worried about your finances in these crazy times, Loan Pronto can help you. If you're like most people, you've actually racked up a sizable amount on your credit cards, and the monthly payment is not making a dent. It is time to call Loan Pronto. If you own a home, you have a super easy way to get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash. Loan Pronto has lots of options for helping you tap into the equity in your home and get the cash you need to get back on solid footing. Now, most homeowners who do this end up wiping out all their credit card debt and cutting their monthly expenses by $1,000. Now, listen, you didn't mean to end up here, but you don't have to stay here. You don't have to keep stressing about money. Call Loan Pronto fast, and they can help you with your debt relief. 615-499-5780, 615-499-5780, loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Okay, it's a stalled out semi truck now in Kingston Springs. This is 40 eastbound past Kingston Springs, Ashland City exit number 188. The eastbound side is crawling because of that stalled out semi truck. So careful in that area. You've got also a crash on 24 eastbound in Antioch. This is just past Hickory Hollow Parkway exit 60. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, real quick, here's a shock. Amanda shanked something. It's mycabinetsolution.com. I said cabinetsolution.com. This is the kind of day I'm having. So Cabinet Solutions, mycabinetsolution.com, if you want to check them out today. You know what has me off, Joan?
It's a shankalicious day. Go on,
It's
what?
a shankalicious Wednesday.
Yeah.
It is Wednesday, right?
I went through like the second half of the day yesterday thinking it was Wednesday.
Did you really?
I was like calling my Thursday guests, being like, hey, just confirm it tomorrow.
Oh, that is so
They're
funny.
like, what? What do you mean? I thought it was Thursday. I was like, yeah.
So a couple of things are going on. Number one, people are saying that I am recommending people leave the Republican Party.
I know. I tore up my membership on the way in here.
That's
and
not.
I said, Mandis said quit. And
That's not what I'm saying
listen,
at all.
I'm going to listen to Dan.
Well, you should. But what I'm saying is that is what is going to happen. I don't want that to happen. That is what is going to happen. That's number one. Number two, 2637 says, Dan, you're absolutely right. Mark this down. Signed, a woman. Thank you, a woman. And some person texted in and says, Dan, you have something on the right side of your mustache. So I, of course, am rubbing my.
Talk about, can we just shout that guy out, though? Hero. Like,
I didn't have anything. I'm going gray.
Oh.
I'm going gray in my beard.
I thought he was looking out for you.
No.
Well,
But-
he may have thought so.
Or he was just trying to mess with me. There's that too.
And now the audience knows that they can do that.
Oh, absolutely.
Now you need to dye your hair, your facial hair, along with getting your tummy sucked off. So, you know.
That was a poor choice of words.
Joan.
Well, isn't that what's happening when you go to that?
I don't think sucked. Never mind. I'm not finishing that sentence. No.
Anyway, no. Moving right
You're
along.
you're getting fat suction, right?
She just does the news, boys.
I just do the news, boys.
I just do the talk radio segments,
Yeah.
man. That's all I do.
I am not mature for that sentence.
Moving right along. So anyway, we could probably better use the term like melted away.
Melted away.
Melted away. The
All right.
red light therapy, whatever. Moving right along. So so I all that to say, I don't have something in my beard on the right side. I'm going gray. And no, I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to darken it like
Like Hulk Hogan in the 90s.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'm not
should.
going to.
Did Hogan know? He just kept it blonde.
No, he did the black stubble.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right.
What
I
are
forgot
the
about
Grecian
that.
formula? I'm not going to Grecian formula my beard. That would just look dumb.
Grecian
Anyway,
formula.
yeah, that's what they call.
That's so 1980s.
Is it 1980s?
I've never heard of that before.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Chris, what did you-
Those Grecians are onto something.
What did you bring for this segment? Can we just move away from the whatever?
Okay, did you hear about the suspected terrorist attack on a Lady Gaga concert in Brazil?
2 million people.
Okay, first of all, before we get to the suspected terror attack.
Yeah.
It's not a concert with 2 million people.
What is it?
But you can't say 2 million people showed up for a concert.
Why?
Because the people in the back are like a town over.
I don't know anything about it because I'm not a big Lady Gaga fan. Did they really
All I
have
know,
2 million people
Rio
show up?
de Janeiro does this all the time. Like, we had 40 million people to see Madonna. It's like, could you see her?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Like
They probably,
Did they Jumbotron it?
I was going to say that. Thank you, Joan. They probably had Jumbotrons.
I have no faith in their numbers.
Well, neither do
go on
I,
the
but
record.
whatever.
So anyway, there was going to be a terror attack there.
Yes.
And Luis da Silva, 44, he wanted to live stream this terror attack. And he wanted to live stream the execution of children. He set up bombs close to the stage during Gaga's performance in Rio de Janeiro on Saturday. And then he got caught. And by the grace of God, he got caught.
Yes.
Him and an accomplice were taken into custody just hours before the concert. And then the concert went ahead after authorities uncovered everything.
Yep.
But what we're learning yesterday is that this individual was deported by the Trump administration last month.
Oh.
Yep. Last month.
So this dude gets around.
He gets around.
He sure does.
He gets around.
Apparently he's got his
So-
real ID, or maybe not.
He couldn't have planned a bombing like that in a couple of days. So did he begin the planning here?
I think you could make that accusation. I don't see anything about that in the reporting.
Yeah.
The headline from the New York Post, suspected terrorist accused of planning to kill fans at Lady Gaga concert, ID'd as immigrant, recently deported from the U.S. And they go into the article, say it was deported last month.
Well, let me ask this. And I don't know this, so, take it easy on me. But did he act alone? That's number one. And number two, how close did he come to actually planting a bomb? Did he actually have the bomb and all that kind of stuff?
So he did have an accomplice, and police said that they found bombs at the scene.
Okay.
They plan to use Molotov cocktails and explosive backpacks, the complaint read.
All right.
But he was deported from America last month.
There you go.
Amazing.
You know what? Trump should be bragging about that.
He should.
These are the individuals that our esteemed mayor
Yes.
is just heartbroken.
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 I mean, when I woke up this morning and I saw that we've got a Tren de Aragua gang member, we've got a convicted child predator, you've got, people convicted, drug users, whatever it is. And what else? I'm missing one, aren't I, Joan? There's one more. Child predator.
Child predator from Mexico.
Child sex predator was the way
Child
Fox
sex
17 put it. I mean, this is who Freddie O'Connell is defending. This is who Brother Jones and Gloria Johnson and all of these individuals, these lunatics on the left, are defending.
Well, and here's the thing. They have a big event tonight.
Who does?
Do you know that? They're having a candlelight vigil tonight.
Oh, my gosh.
It's 7:30. Now, I'm going to be in bed, so I can't go. But they've got a website, and I'm assuming a website, something, but their little flyer, electronic flyer says, honor, resist, witness. So who are you honoring? A Tren Mayor Freddie and Brother Jones and Gloria Johnson and the other Justin Pearson. So are you honoring, which one are you honoring? Are you honoring the child predator? Are you the sexual predator? Are you honoring the Tren de Aragua gang member? Are you honoring the folks with the drugs? Who is it you're honoring? That's what I would ask.
Their flyer says they're honoring the disappeared.
The disappeared.
These are people that need to be disappeared.
Dan, if you ask that question, I know one thing will happen.
Probably get beaten up.
They will attack you because that's their only argument is attack and violence.
I don't know. These protesters are nuts. Last night in Portland, Riley Gaines had a Turning Point USA event, and I'm in all the comms on this stuff, and Antifa showed up and started throwing feces at people that wanted to go see Riley Gaines speak. Human feces.
That is like bioterrorism.
That's a bioterrorist attack. Yep.
That's okay.
The
there won't be any
videos from
charges.
that event, those people are like, there's something mentally wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not something. That's a great point, Joan. That's not something a normal person does.
No, they were out of control.
Hey, how do you? How does one throw feces? Like, have any of us actually?
Are we really going to talk about this right now?
So I love prison shows. And fun fact, I tried to be a prison guard one time.
Did you really?
I thought it would be fun.
Wow, it's a weird way of fun.
I love prison shows. So one of the things that they do in prison, they call it gassing. They defecate in like a bucket for a few weeks, and then they'll break up a light bulb, and they'll put the broken glass in there. So that way when they throw it at an officer, you go to wipe. Your first instinct is to wipe it off. But then there's broken glass in there. So the glass slices up your skin, and then the fecal matter gets in there, and you get really sick. So they tell officers when you're training at some of these prisons, if an inmate throws fecal matter at you, don't wipe it off.
All right, we gotta move on because
I can see why you think it's fun.
So I was gonna stop this, and then it.
Is that why you decided not to become? Because I'm feeling a little nauseous. I'm going to be honest. We got to stop. But is that why you decided not to become a prison guard?
No. I had something in my past.
Oh, that's ominous. That is ominous, man. Good Lord.
Oh, man. All right. Very good.
There's gonna be a documentary about Chris Hand one day. It's just a matter of time.
Do you want to talk about what was in your...
Turning Point USA presents the real Chris Hand.
What was in your past, Chris?
It was a weed charge when I was 18.
A weed charge.
Oh.
So because of that, you can't be like that. They won't take you.
I called Massachusetts to get it expunged from my record because it's no longer a crime in Massachusetts, and they told me no.
So you're trespassing? You're trying to like mow somebody's lawn?
I'm disappointed.
No. It's not that fun of a story.
I wish there was an alter ego or something.
If I told you the real story, you wouldn't. It sounds like I made it up. My buddy had just had a kid, and he had a tiny bag of weed on him, and we got pulled over, and we were about to get searched. We saw the second cruiser pull up, and I was like, "Just give me the bag of weed," and that was how I got my weed.
So you took one for the team.
So you took one for the family.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yep.
It's kind of funny. Remember when you got me suspended?
Yeah.
Didn't do it for me.
I didn't do it for you. I didn't do it for you.
All right, moving right along. So they wouldn't take it. Well, first, you know what's funny?
So they wouldn't expunge it from my record, but it wasn't a crime in Massachusetts anymore.
Yeah.
So thanks, guys.
All right, very good.
It doesn't make sense why.
But you know what the great thing is?
It led me here.
The great thing is not only did it lead you here, but you didn't, as far as I know, ever have any fecal matter thrown at you, although I don't know what you do in your part-time.
I haven't had it thrown at me yet.
There's always a chance.
It's early. Yet. All right, you had something else.
Yes.
Something about a raccoon?
Yes. So I think this is a more interesting story than the Lady Gaga concert, to be perfectly honest with you. This one caught my attention.
Matter.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll see your fecal matter, and I'll raise you raccoon with a meth pipe. This happened at a traffic stop in Ohio.
Oh, that sounds.
Hi, how are we doing today? I'm Officer Brandon, Springfield Township Police Department.
Okay, stop it, Josh. How are you?
So the reason I stopped you is you are suspended with a warrant for your arrest.
I am.
So
do me a favor.
Just to paint the scene, you have what appears to be an overweight woman, not a doctor.
Yeah.
Appears to be overweight. Looks like she is addicted to drugs and living out of a vehicle with several animals inside the vehicle living with her.
Oh my god.
Yep, nothing to see here.
Turn off the car, put the keys up on the dash, detain you for that warrant, and because you are suspended actively.
So she gets arrested.
Hey!
What?
Come here.
Hello?
The raccoon has her meth pipe.
As what?
Oh my god.
Her meth pipe.
Who are these? So there's a couple of people.
So there's a couple of it looked like they may be passerbys or friends of the one being arrested, but the cop loses it because he looks in the car and notices that one of the animals is a raccoon, and the raccoon dabbles in meth.
Oh my goodness!
This sounds like she should be in Florida.
Playing with the meth pipe right now. No, don't reach for it. That's evidence now.
Well, I don't want him to have that.
That's why I'm going to do it.
Now, the funny thing is, she doesn't want the raccoon to have it, but it's perfectly okay for her friend to have the meth pipe.
Officer, it's not safe for this raccoon to have her meth or meth pipe. I'll take it.
Hey, buddy.
Huh?
It's okay.
Okay, you're on Island. He'll be here in 2 minutes. I'm right across from my house.
So you have a raccoon.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is what she's smoking meth in.
Okay.
She has a raccoon in her car.
Officer, in my defense, that raccoon has been bogarting that pipe for hours.
The raccoon's playing with her meth pipe.
All right.
Just Ohio things.
Oh, there's no way. He's trying to smoke it.
All right. Thanks.
There's no way.
Wow. That's funny. Can a raccoon? I guess a raccoon
Florida
can smoke
has
meth.
their money.
A raccoon can smoke meth. Fun fact, needs a human to light the pipe.
So
that makes sense. Fact check, true.
All right. Enough fun and games.
Here.
So that's the story.
What would a raccoon be on meth? Like, what would we've talked about this before. I've never been on meth.
Would you prefer to encounter a raccoon on meth or a raccoon with rabies? I think that's a poll question for you
That
guys.
is honestly, Chris. If you take that for your show, I don't think anyone would think any. I think
How
that
about
would
we
be a good
just
one.
stay away from raccoons?
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea.
I'd
And
be
especially
more
ones that
alarmed.
are living in cars.
I'll be way more alarmed seeing a raccoon smoke a pipe than with like rabies coming out of its mouth.
Is the raccoon named Hunter?
It should be. That's pretty good.
That's exactly right. It
It's
should be.
pretty good. I like it. I like it.
Hey, did you hear, by the way, that Donald Trump is going to... Hey, John, watch this. Hey, did you hear that Donald Trump is going to make a big announcement at some point in the next couple of days?
I heard. What a tease.
Yeah, he's apparently... I found out through my sources in the White House that he's going to rename the San Andreas Fault Joe Biden's fault.
I like it. I like it a lot, actually.
Did you hear that on the way in?
No.
Yeah, that was my joke.
That's an honest reaction then.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
Crushed it.
Actually, Chris, were you listening when Dan had a stroke or had like some sort of aneurysm?
Yes, when he came to
Comes to a creaking skull.
A creaking skull.
I kept it.
You know, I had forgotten all about that, KGB. Thank you for bringing that up again.
You're welcome. I was honestly like, I thought you were joking at first.
Do that again?
Okay, hold on.
Like, comes to a creaking skull.
A creaking skull.
A creaking skull. Instead of screeching halt, creaking skull.
Somebody had the right name for that.
I think it's
We
dyslexia,
call
no?
it we call it aneurysm, but there's something else.
I don't know what. It's so weird because that happens to me, and people have told me I probably have a brain tumor.
Well, honestly, that there is a condition where someone speaks how they think it says, but it comes out completely different. Like it's
that does happen to me often, actually. And it
Might be a
happens
real
on the air
condition.
sometimes. Yeah.
You might see a doctor and maybe get diagnosed. I'm not even kidding.
Nah.
Don't
even worry about it. You'll be all right.
Chris wants my job totally. Chris wants an opening in morning drive.
Don't stress it. You look great.
Ready to get up
Do
at
I
3
really?
a.m. every day, Chris?
No, I don't.
By the way, people want to know when I got suspended.
Oh, yeah.
You want to tell the story real quick?
Well, what happened? You were
He was out.
You were being completely outlandish on YouTube, and you got us censored and shut down.
So I had a day off. Chris comes and he starts talking about how I got suspended, which I didn't. And so now people think that I got suspended. And then, and I'm not going to get into details, I was like up for something.
Dan was up for a prestigious promotion.
I was up for something. And
Very prestigious.
And I got asked about me getting suspended because it was online. One of the, they Google my name and it's Dan Mandis suspension.
Oh.
So my joke
That wasn't the slippery elm
cost Dan a job.
problem.
That's it. Pretty much it. Anyway, got to go. It is 8:56 on Nashville's.
Sorry, Dan.
It's all right. I'm so happy here. 8:56, Nashville's Morning News. I get to talk to you guys all day on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Mike. Dan Mandis here. History had the gold rush, then came the oil boom, then the tech boom. But right now, it is the Wi-Fi boom, and Xfinity Wi-Fi is booming. Streaming, booming. Gaming, booming. Video calls, booming. Even when your boss schedules a meeting that definitely could have been an email, Xfinity is there. And now you can get Xfinity Internet and mobile together in one all-in-one plan. It is the ultimate power couple. Wi-Fi Power Boost from Xfinity Mobile gives you faster, secure Wi-Fi speeds at home and on the go. So your Wi-Fi is booming wherever you are. And right now, through June 23rd, new customers can get 400 megabit Xfinity Internet with free equipment and unlimited internet data, and get one unlimited 5G mobile line included, all-in-one plan, all for $40 a month for 1 year. So whether you're working, watching, or panning for Wi-Fi gold, one thing is for sure, Xfinity's Wi-Fi is booming. Find them online. It is Xfinity.com to learn more. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Taxes, fees extra. Xfinity Mobile requires Xfinity Internet. Reduced speeds after 30 gigabyte of data usage. Data thresholds vary. After 1 year, rate increases to $110 a month. After 2 years, regular rates apply to all services. Up to $143 a month. Actual speeds vary.